There has never been a better time than right now to turn your great ideas into reality with Squarespace. Even if your ideas aren't great, maybe they're bad, maybe you got bad ideas, make them real anywhere. Squarespace makes it easier than ever to launch your passion project, whether you're showcasing your work or selling products of any kind. With beautiful templates and the ability to customize just about anything, you can easily make a beautiful website all by yourself. Head to squarespace.com/bombcast for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use the offer code BOMBCAST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. It's Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. You made it.
Whoa.
You made it to this edition of the Giant Bombcast. I'm Jeff Gerstmann of California. Let's go around the horn. Everybody say your name, where you're from.
I'm Janet Choa, Cali baby, yay area.
All right, good. Keep it going. I love that energy. Next.
Hey, I'm Jeff Backlar from New Jersey, Gaba-Ghoul.
Yes, exactly right. Is Gaba-Ghoul at all like baloney?
It's probably more similar than dissimilar.
Okay, keep it going.
That's you, Jess.
I wanted you to go. Okay,
I'm gonna go. Hey, Jason from Atlanta, deep dirty South. Oh, it's sweltering hot out here. It's like 40 degrees.
Yikes!
Wow.
It's actual weather. It's not hot all the time. I'm sorry.
What's that have to do with the deli? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
And it's Jess. Here she comes, O'Brien from Staten Island, New York, and currently in the Midwest, where it ain't the best.
Oh,
Midwest,
What they say.
And there's no fucking delis.
Yeah.
No,
It's all the
none.
champagne you can drink. I understand.
It's hard to find Boar's Head out here. You gotta look.
Boar's Head doesn't travel further west than Pittsburgh. Everyone knows
there's
that.
only
East of the Rockies.
certain- Certain stores, only certain stores carry it.
Yeah, Boar's
Gotta
Head
go
out
to the
here.
weird kind of
Yeah.
fancy stores to get the good deli meat. And
I had to go to my
fancy
fancy
store.
deli to get Boar's Head.
Yes, we got that boar's
not-
head.
it's not even. You have to go to the fancy grocery store. They don't have delis. They're
What do you
stupid
got?
out here.
There's no one slicing meat in where
No.
you're at.
No,
No,
it's insane.
It's-
Right?
Yeah,
That's not true.
Yeah, that can't
That's
be
not
true.
That's
Oh,
not
that's
true.
where all the
Is.
animals are.
I
Like-
know, and it doesn't make fucking sense. It
So
should be
you're-
the meat cutting capital of the United States, and yet they just keep them alive here and ship them out to other places.
I was
to
just
get
saying,
cut up.
aren't you just in the corn zone?
I'm in the corn zone, and I hate it.
Jersey's actually got a bit of a corn zone too. Let's
Not
not
my-
sleep
not my
on
corn
Jersey's
zone.
corn
Don't let me
zone.
get
No,
in my
don't
zone.
sleep on Jersey's corn zone. You'll catch something. You definitely don't want to do that. Hey, being from New Jersey, you're in the mob, Jeff Bacalar.
Yeah.
And I have a
Well, look,
question. What is Gaba-Ghoul?
It's like so I think it's something else. It's like no one goes to a deli and is like, I'll take 3/4 of a pound of Gaba-Ghoul.
Mm-hmm.
It's
If you're
it's
tourist.
different. It's like it's just the way people say other meats.
But what's the name, Mr.
It-
Jersey? Name that meat.
Dr. Jersey.
It's like capicola.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, and they
Are
say,
you googling it?
"How am I Google?" What? They say,
you Gaba
here,
Googling
and-
it?
and they say, like, so that's how it's just the pronunciation of it, which is like no one says it's prosciutto, but everyone says prosciutto. It's mozzarella, but everyone says mozzarella.
What's that?
Right.
What about
So
ricotta?
capicola and
So,
prosciutto
but
are very
capicola
So it's
similar.
just a mispronunciation of Capicola?
It took
Yeah.
on a whole other. It's like it's not even tangentially related in any respect whatsoever. Vowels and consonants have been replaced, whereas in the other examples I gave you, it's just sort of like a mishmash.
Yeah.
Gaba-Ghoul is completely off the charts
Yeah,
and
it
has
was
transformed
like
into a new word entirely.
Yeah, like there's like a history or something that I read once that I'm half remembering now, but basically, yeah, capicola ham was basically mangled by the hybrid Bronx Brooklyn Italian mishmash accent to replace the C's with G's. That became Gabagola. That became Gabagool.
Yeah, so like anything funny and dumb, just think like The Sopranos for. I basically is like the sort of rule of thumb that you can kind of get away with for 90% of these like jokey Italian memes.
But that's the only reason it came back, right? Like that's why people are talking about Gaba-Ghoul today is because of The Sopranos. But they didn't invent that, right? I feel like it's older than that, right?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Okay.
It's probably from like the 60s and 70s in like a Bronx garden apartment, you know, or like
Bronx Tale was about the naming of Gaba-Ghoul.
Something like that is probably the safe way to sort of explain the etymology behind there.
Okay.
But yeah, you know.
Okay.
As you know, the least Italian person. I'm Italian. I guess if you live in New Jersey, you're Italian by association.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you're part of the association.
You're probably Jewish and Italian by association if you live in New Jersey. But you know, Jess has the actual blood running through her veins.
I'm the most Italian person.
Okay,
here.
then maybe we can get to the bottom of this mozzarella. What the?
Mozzarella, yeah.
Mozzarella, yeah.
Why would you?
Well,
There's
there's different, you know, there's different emphasis on the oo and the depending on who you're talking to, depending on how rich and thick their accent is from New York. But it's either mozzarella, mozzarella, or mozzarella.
I like mozzarella because it sounds like a cow saying it.
Yeah,
It's mozzarella.
or a moose, or just like it's moose cheese.
So sometimes when I'm feeling extra saucy, I'll say mutz, but it still doesn't. I'm going out of my way to say mutz. I usually just say mozzarella.
Yeah, I mean that's like the Midwest. It's probably still just like give me some mozzarella. Mozzarella. Yeah.
I feel like if when I was living in Hoboken, if I went into a deli and said mozzarella, they'd make you the sandwich, but they'd give you an eye.
They'd give you a little bit of a stink eye, yeah.
I'd be like, where the fuck this guy come from?
Yeah, like,
this guy's a cop. I'm pretty sure this guy's a cop.
You from around here? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that place is like a deli deli on every corner. It's fucking.
It was a floating deli.
Hoboken. Yeah.
It's a floating deli. The city of Hoboken.
Yeah, I guess like
barely floating, but yes.
It's the thing about growing up with the place where they make a lot of the television is that you just end up with these accents that are deemed to be like non-accents or whatever. Right.
Yeah, when my partner first visited me in New York, he got off the plane at Newark and heard like everyone's actual real accents, and he was like, holy shit, they actually talk like this? I thought it was a movie thing. No. Here's my mom, by the way. Enjoy her.
Oh yeah,
her accent is just that's fabulously
dope.
thick.
I'm sure it's dope. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah,
I'll have her on the podcast one day.
Yeah, definitely.
She'll go against my grandma in mahjong.
That's
sick. I mean, the mahjong roots run deep.
She likes pinochle.
Can we broadcast a pinochle tournament?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. No one else owns the rights to like big pinochle streaming, right? We can.
No, that's right. We got the biggest pinochle in the game.
Pinochle.
I wonder if that's a category on Twitch.
Pinochle. See, it was always pinochle.
Pinochle. I've never heard pinochle.
Yeah,
we're learning so much today about regions. I love it.
We're all learning about each other.
I don't even know what pinochle is. I just know that that's how it's pronounced, and it's like some old person card game.
Old person card game. Yeah, I don't like. It's an old person card game. It has trump cards in it. That's all I know about pinochle. It was attempted to be taught to me once because I was like, "What are you adults yelling about down here?" I was like, "Oh, it's a boring card game. Never mind."
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'd rather learn how to play rummy over here.
Yeah, rummy is like I understand rummy. Like
I don't understand rummy.
Like, what is happening?
Sure, you do.
I don't know.
Do you drink gin?
I hate gin. I hate gin.
Okay.
I understand my ties.
Bad relationship with gin.
Yeah. No, gin's no good. But you know what is good? What's up?
Cola.
Video games. Should I put a question with video games?
What?
Video games are good.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So when we talk about some of those, Let's see here. Hot off the hot. Jess, you saw Ghostwire Tokyo. You did not play Ghostwire Tokyo.
No, I was a little like, I'm new here. I don't know how these press eventy things work or anything.
Don't worry,
like
none of
that.
them do either. It's they're all different. They're all different.
Oh, it was kind of cool. It was on like a special website. There was like, when you watch these things, it has your name like superimposed on the video. So if you steal it and post it, they know it was you.
I know.
Oh, look out.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Besides that, game looks cool. Just throwing that out there. Game looks real cool. I'm excited for it. Pretty into I know she doesn't work there anymore, but I'm blanking on her name right now. Ikumi-san.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Ikumi was one of the art director type people on it, and it shows it's gorgeous. I believe she also worked on Okami. And it is gosh darn pretty. It's a really cool atmosphere. The combat looks like not like super fast paced or anything like that, but kind of like very it's super cool because you're doing like basically these like hand gesture Naruto bullshit to cast spells at ghosts and stuff like that.
Okay.
There's a lot of cool spookums walking around town and stuff like that. Slenderman adjacent buddies.
So is it like third person behind the back action? Like, do they
No,
show?
it was
Do they play it in
first
front of you?
person.
Like that sort of stuff? It's first person. Okay.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, like
first
what is the
person.
game?
Yeah.
Because I
Because I know it's
I've been-
spooky and I know it looks rad. But
Yeah.
what are you doing in it? Is
That's
it showing your
just-
hands walking around? You just throwing up gang signs at ghosts and they're exploding?
Yeah. You are absolutely doing that, and it's
Fucking
pretty
great.
fucking cool. I'm
I'm
gonna like rewatch some of the B-roll actually, but yeah, it's first person. You're doing your like I don't know what these are called. There's definitely a fucking like word for when you do these cool hand gestures.
Like one of
to cast
these, just
spells.
kind of, and then
Yeah,
blow up
you've got different ones obviously, and it's got it's kind of a semi-open world, exploration-y, but also. I guess that's what I would call it, is like semi-open world exploration game that, has combat elements and stealth elements as well. You can sneak up on a lot of these ghosts and goblins and Gaba-Ghouls.
Ooh.
do you do
and
quieter hand motions to do stealth kills? Is it like
You
you're just
actually
doing
do, like-
fingers, like kind of?
I really like the stealth kill animation. I'm trying to like scroll around to find it, but it was like you like sneak up on one of these like Slendermans that are like dressed up like salary guys with like an umbrella. And you sneak up behind them and you like do a really quick gesture and into their back, and they do this like bending over backwards like right in front of the camera, like so that you can see the agony in their face as they're exorcised from this world. And they're making a big like "Ooh," like Muppety face. But yeah, you can do all these cool. There's a bunch of different enemies. Like you've got those Slenderman guys, but you've also got like these. They look like high school students, but they don't have any heads. They have like invisible heads at the neckline, basically. They still have hands and legs and stuff like that, though.
So okay, can we just
and you're
can you
going
differentiate
around-
there? Is it do they have no head, or they do have a head? It's just invisible.
It's as if they have a head, but it's invisible because it looks like there
But they
isn't
wear
like
a
a
hat.
neck. There isn't like a neck hole, is what I mean. They
Oh,
weren't
okay.
decapitated.
All right.
It's just as if like from here up, it's invisible because it's still supporting their collars and stuff like that.
So
Or it's
they
like
could
really
wear a hat.
starched shirts, to like
Really
really stiff
starched shirts,
collar. Okay.
So like what is this game though? Like what I don't understand. So
No.
I've been intrigued by it since day one, right?
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
all about this shit. I love Evil Within, so it's that pedigree, and I'm just like, let's do this, and I'm excited. But what is
Yeah.
this game? Because I feel like I don't
So
understand. Like, what's the beat? Like, what's the moment to moment kind of thing? Is
So
it
just-
linear? Like, what's happening?
Well, it's definitely kind of like I want to call it like sort of like a Yakuza sort of format where it's like there is this linear format, but you have like side quests and stuff like that that you can do for other ghosts around there and stuff like that. Not every ghost you run across is like
so there
evil.
are good ghosts. Okay.
Yeah, there's like there's also yokai, like traditional mythological
Sure.
creatures that you have to deal with in different ways. There is a handful of so first of all, like the plot is just basically everyone got kind of raptured overnight in Shibuya, Japan.
Okay. It
happens.
And yeah, whatever.
Tokyo, isn't it? Ghostwire Tokyo? I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
Shibuya's in
Shibuya's
Tokyo.
in Tokyo.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's a prefecture in Tokyo or whatever.
Gotcha.
So yeah, a place that is normally quite bustling. You know, you got the Shibuya Scramble and stuff like that. Shibuya.
Shibuya.
Shibuya. But it's, pretty desolate because everyone just got foofed out of nowhere. There's even like piles of clothes on the ground. Like that's how like
Oh.
raptured this sort of feels.
And then
Got
since
it.
it's Shibuya, they're very fashionable clothes.
I know they're very gorgeous
Cool.
clothes.
Yeah.
They fit whoever used to be in them very well. So yeah, a ton of the population is just straight up gone. There's ghosts and spooky shit everywhere instead. It seems to be that like a lot of people's souls got like zoiped to an alternate dimension or something, a ghost world, an other world, if you will.
Okay.
And you don't know, as the protagonist, whose name I am completely blanking on right now, and it doesn't quite say so during this. I'd have to look for some.
So and
Subtitle or
who are
something.
you? You're someone who's like, I gotta figure out where all these.
Yeah, you're a
Ghosts
guy
went.
who doesn't know why he survived when everybody
Akito.
else.
Are there more
Yes,
normal
Akito.
people? Like,
Akito.
There's a couple of other normal people.
got it.
So you're playing Akito, who doesn't know why he was not raptured. I believe his
Got it.
sister was raptured. Some family member of his was raptured away. He's trying to figure out how to
They
get them
had to
back.
be. They had to be.
Yeah. So there's stakes, man. And you do run into some like support style characters who also have had like a family member or someone they love be raptured away. You're going to learn about them through different mental worlds or something like that. Like there was some
Okay.
area where it was like, oh, like this is somebody's mind palace of spooky stuff.
Gotcha.
So there's more like specific themed sort of otherworld type areas where you're trying to like free that person's soul specifically, or like figure out somebody's ghostly trauma, why they can't move on, like that sort of stuff. So
Ugh,
you're
ghost
kind of
problems.
like,
I get it.
ghost problems, typical ghost problems. Meanwhile, there is like an actual like an antagonist who is very mysterious right now. I don't know like much about him. Not much was revealed about him in the thing that I saw. But he is super cool, got a mad cool Oni mask on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's got a goofy bad guy voice that I just love, like one of those really deep like prophecy like sort of voices.
Oh, yeah.
And he's doing the thing where the bad guy ushers in further destruction, saying that this is
Cool.
actually salvation. You know how it goes. One of those religious freaks, it seems like. But yeah, there's like a lot of really cool so you do have these open world segments, but you do have these like more like when you do a side quest or something like that, it seems like they're more closed off. Like there was one that I saw that was this old woman needed you to like look around her apartment because there was a goddamn ghost in there, and she wants to like calm the ghost or whatever. It was like the ghost of some little girl, da da da. So you have to actually like investigate and look around the apartment for signs of where this ghost might be. And then when you do find her, you exorcise her and bring her peace, and you get, I don't know, spirit points. I don't fucking know.
Ghost points.
Ghost
Yeah.
points.
Ghost
but-
XP.
Ghost problems lead to ghost points.
You can also go around. Another one of the main factors of this game is going around and cleansing major areas through the shrines that are in Shibuya. So everything's corrupted, but these shrines are like little. They're kind of like almost like the towers in Assassin's Creed a little bit, where it's like you do that, you cleanse an area, it opens up other areas, and it probably shows more things on the map. I'm not super duper certain about that. But that's how like map progress is made. You start in a smaller area, and then like you are able to progress to the larger open world areas via cleansing those shrines, because they're so corrupted you can't even get through this like otherworldly fog that's just containing you in whatever that starting perimeter is. So yeah, that's
Interesting.
basically the gameplay loop.
So what does it remind you of something? Like if like during your time was checking it out, because I watched some of the footage too. Does it like, it didn't really, I don't know if there was something that I instantly was like, yo, this is this kind of
Well,
game
like-
with ghost skins and finger powers.
Well, like I mentioned Yakuza, but that's probably because it's like, semi openish world, but it's not like a huge open world or anything. And it has these like side stories where you can help people, but it's definitely like not even close to the same like personality as
Yeah.
Yakuza. It doesn't have that. Yakuza is obviously a big joke game that loves how funny it is in a
Mhm.
good way. Not not negging on Yakuza. I fucking love Yakuza. But I don't know. It's kind of it does have like a little bit of that Evil Within kind of DNA to it.
Okay.
It absolutely has like Evil Within 2 visual aesthetic leanings, because Evil Within 2 is one of the coolest looking games I think I've played in recent memory. Oh, it looks like there's a dog you can pet. Hell yeah, you can pet the
Okay.
dog
Now
in
we're talking.
Ghostwire.
Finally, it's about time someone put a pettable dog in a video game.
Now we're talking.
Never been done before.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. You can also like apparently you can read the thoughts of tanukis, which is excellent. There's also instead of shopkeepers, because everyone got raptured away, who's going to run the convenience stores, right? They have Nekomata, which is another yokai. It's the lucky cat, basically, like that kind of vibe of
Got it.
guy, but it's like literally a kitty is running the store and he's floating around. He's got cute clothes on and stuff like that.
Cool.
You go around absorbing spirits and all that sort of stuff. You can also, it looks like, I forgot about this part. You can grapple with your fucking cool powers and go to the top of buildings and stuff like that. There's a lot of cool stuff in this game.
Cool.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I'm gonna just have to play it, I think. I mean,
Yeah,
I
like
can't-
I'm not a big horror game kind of person, but like the trailers and stuff so far has just really, it's been very striking in a way that like
Yeah.
like the Evil Within 1 and 2 just didn't do anything for me, but for whatever reason this just looks so cool.
Yeah.
That
I
wanna
also
give it
feel like I
time.
wouldn't call this as much of a horror game as the Evil Within. It feels a little bit more like has like slight more action leanings for me and like stealthy. I don't know. There was
It's
stealth.
like
and
less
stuff in Evil
survival horror,
Within, but-
less like I've got 3 bullets and there are
Yeah.
9 zombies. It's like okay,
Right.
it's
Yeah,
more
yeah,
like
yeah.
okay.
Because that first Evil Within was, in a lot of ways, I think why I liked it so much is because it just scratched a lot of Resident Evil
It definitely
issues
did, but
that I
that
had.
game was way too hard. Oh my god.
Oh,
I played it on
loved
normal and I was like,
so,
fuck.
I think I was in a small group of people. I just love that one even more than the second one. I couldn't really get into the second one as much. And I feel like I read a little
I
bit
love the second one.
of
Oh my gosh.
cursory kind of storytelling about this one, how it was almost Evil Within 3 and,
Right,
and
yeah.
that kind of stuff. So no, I'm jazzed for sure.
Yeah, it's really gorgeous looking, like not just aesthetically, but I think the graphics look really incredible too.
Nice.
And you know what? I'm just a sucker for this setting. I love games that are set in Japan. I'm a big
Sure.
weeb
Yeah,
like
there's a
that,
lot
I
of 'em.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. And I like these spooky guys. They're cool.
I
They're
love these
just-
spooky guys.
I love these spooky guys. They're cool. There's a bunch of different ones. Like
Hey,
I was worried because I thought like, oh, is this just Slenderman? Is this all?
is
But
this some Gaba-Ghouls here?
this spooky
Guys,
spookies.
Ghouls.
You gonna scare me? You gonna scare me?
You workshopping this in the chat? You workshopping material in the chat?
You
Oh, also, I forgot
from
about
around
this.
here?
I forgot about this, but you are like possessed by somebody, and that's who's giving you these magical
Oh.
jutsu
KK.
powers.
Is it KK Slider?
I hope so. I hope that's the twist.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. So I'm not super duper sure what's going on with that. So there's going to be further intrigue. Stay tuned, I guess.
Cool. Well, it's almost done. It's out end of March. So
Yeah, I can't believe
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's right around the corner. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm so
February's
excited.
we're halfway through, right?
That
we're
was
almost
yeah.
there.
That was one of those games that seemed like it was just eternally far off, along with Lost Ark, which apparently is playable as of today. Those were just games that in my head were just like, I don't know.
This is never
Worry
coming
about
out.
those later. It's like, oh wait, these are super soon and or now, as the case may be. So yeah,
Hell yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of games that are out, I have played a chunk of Dying Light 2.
Oh.
How much of that chunk, I guess, depends on how if you believe that game is 500 hours long or not. I don't know, but I've put about, let's call it 13ish
You got
hours into the PC version of that game.
Can you pet a dog?
I haven't seen I haven't seen a dog of any kind yet. Now that I think about it,
Gang signs.
I have not done any gang signs.
Okay. Okay.
But I have gone out of my way to not turn into a zombie.
Sure.
That's the
All right.
the big crux of that game is, hey, don't everyone is infected with a virus. Stop me if you've heard this one before.
I've heard this one before. Actually,
okay.
You can stop.
All right. Anyway, what else is going on? No, and everyone basically wears wrist sensors that tell you, hey, you're about to turn into a zombie, and the way to not turn into a zombie is to not be in the dark. UV light basically stops you. These are all elements that were in the first game in a lot of cases as well. But
when and if you turn, do you stay that way? Like, is that?
I'm pretty sure it's just game over. Yeah, I think you just lose.
So I gotta stay in the sun the whole goddamn game?
No. So, but basically, as you level up, the time you can be in the dark goes up as well.
Oh.
And so you have a timer that basically, and it's really inconsistent because sometimes it'll happen during the day when you go inside. It will start to tick down, but there are definitely times where I've been inside and looking around. It's like, this is really dark. I need to turn on my flashlight to see, but it's not counting down. It's not counting me as being out of the light for whatever reason. And that stuff is really inconsistent in a way that is just like weird. But there's UV light everywhere also. So you have like big UV lights that mark safe zones, and you can, so at night when you're running around, there's definitely an element of like, okay, I need to get to the next safe zone so I can recharge, because when you're in the UV light, your meter refills.
This is a world where tanning salons have become an essential service.
Exactly. Everyone looks so good. Everyone is just a bunch of George Hamiltons out there. And yeah, so there are some missions that you can really only do at night for one reason or another. Sometimes it's like, hey, you can try to go into this area, but during the day, all the zombies are sleeping in there. And if you go in there during the day, it's too crazy. So you wait for them to go out at night, and then you go in and scavenge for stuff, or whatever it is you're trying to do.
Zombie wallets.
Exactly. Literally, it's like, I'm going to go in here and search through a bunch of chests to find a bunch of diamonds and stuff I can sell. Why
are these zombies hoarding all these diamonds?
Yeah, it's very parkour focused, as the previous game was, and I think the controls, I've been playing it on a controller. You get used to it. It's like jump is on the right bumper, and you kind of have to really, to climb up things, you have to look at them and jump. So there's a lot of like, you eventually get in a rhythm of like, I need to look up at that ledge and then hit jump and then grab it and keep going and sort of keep moving. It's, it is that style of melee combat that you saw all the way back to a Skyrim and Morrowind and Oblivion and that sort of stuff. It's very much the like, I have a block button, and you eventually get to a point where like, oh, if I time my block perfectly, it's a parry, and then there's things I can do while the enemy is staggered, and that combat tree kind of opens up that way over time. The weapons break, you can mod the weapons, you can, it's a lot of things you've seen in a lot of other video games, I guess I would say. It's and in some cases that stuff's been done better. But it's a game it is an open world game. You're going around, you're climbing towers, you're revealing more and more side things on the map as you go, and doing quests.
This was
the
another
story
game.
Stuff hasn't really been super outstanding so far in that first dozen hours, but again, that's just that first dozen hours, and I've been trying to do side stuff and level up and do all this. So it's not like I've been like mainlining the main story quest. The opening of the game is like, you're a pilgrim, which means you go out in the world and go from place to place and cover a lot of ground. Whereas a lot of cities are just straight up like, we are locked down, no ins, no outs. And so you're a traveler of sorts, and so there are people that think that you are a psychopath for being out there, for being willing to be out there, and all of that stuff. And you're looking for your sister is the crux of the early part of the story. Yeah, it's a lot of like, every time your character goes to sleep as part of a story segment, there's a dream sequence of you and your young sister flashback in the hospital, and they're doing experiments to cure the zombie virus, and like it's just a lot of stuff that you just look at and go like, yep, you totally made that thing, and it's fine. I don't know, I don't think it's a great game. It's not like broken. It's I don't think it looks amazing. Some of the ray tracing stuff looks okay, but it doesn't jump out as like, wow, this is a next generation video, or anything like that. It looks fine. It sounds fine. Some of the voice acting is really terrible. Some of it's okay. You can mod stuff. It's like checking a ton of boxes in the open world video game thing in a way that like you're kind of either into or you're not. And the parkour is the stuff that sets it apart. My problem with it is like that opening of the game, like there's just a lot of, when you think about parkour in a video game and what they want you to do as you're jumping from rooftop to rooftop and doing all this other stuff, is they want you to be able to just keep going, like almost like Mirror's Edge style. But the skill tree is filled with all of the items you would need to be able to do that. And you level up so slowly that you can't do like a running slide until you've leveled up a few times and specifically choose, I want to be able to do a running slide because you've put low barriers here. Like clearly you want me to slide under some of this stuff, but instead I have to run up to it and then stop and crouch and go under and go up and keep running. And it's not, that doesn't make it fun. It's not, it's not, the game is not made better by having to work for that slide.
Yeah.
And
Do you think
there's
this
that
is like
500 hours.
yeah,
Do
right.
you think this is a matter of like we need to like compartmentalize this normal gameplay into a skill tree just because
I think
skill trees
so.
are expected?
That's
so
a
many
lot of
things now.
That's a lot of what that skill tree feels like to me. Like every time I've leveled it up, but at the same time, if they gave you everything, it would be too much.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, wait, what do I do? Hang on, because you do end up having, especially on the combat side, even there's stuff like, oh, well, by default, you can't even hold down the trigger to charge up a powerful attack. Like that's something you have to unlock, which is one of those things you're like, well, all right. But the drop kick where you have to jump and then double tap attack in the air and stuff like that. Like if they just gave you all that stuff out of the gate, it might be a little too much for some people. So at least gating some of that progress to at least say like, hey, you get familiar with the way that this game works before we open up this.
Gating the parkour, at least the basic principles of parkour, where it's like, you have to run and slide, and that's the point, right?
The basic principles.
That seems pretty pointless.
Yes. Like that you can get a wall run pretty early on, and in the early parts of the game where you are, there aren't a billion opportunities to wall run, so maybe you don't really need it there, but.
Have they added any other like new mobility stuff? Like, hey, you got a cool unrealistic triple jump because you got the Vax.
No, nothing
I
that
unlocked
good.
the triple jump when I got my booster shot.
No, and it's been a really long time since I played the first game, so I can't necessarily just compare it directly to that game just because it has been so long. The big thing they were touting early on was like the choice and the hey the world is really going to change and there's going to be a ton of story stuff you're not going to see because you have to make hard decisions. And I'm unfortunately, like, I can't really speak to that because there just hasn't really been any in this first chunk of the game. Like you see it start to happen. You see parts of like, oh, I've unlocked these buildings and I can assign which faction gets them. Eventually it shows you like, oh, you can, but I can't do that yet. And basically the setup in this city is you've got kind of the people led by this this guy who has a very religious style of talking to him and very cult leaderish in some ways, but he's like, all my flock will be safe, like that style of talk. And then you've got the cops, like the militarized peacekeepers that are like, yo man, we're gonna fucking fuck anybody up that comes around here, and yes, we're taking your water, citizens, because we need it for our people. And there's definitely an element of eventually you will have to choose between, and this is stuff they said back at E3 when there were E3s, that's how long this game's been kicking around, was like, at some point you're gonna have to decide, hey, do you want the people to fend for themselves? The zombies might eat them all. The cops suck, but at least they keep them all the people from getting eaten alive. And so it just seems like you're building up to that.
Question, are any of these factions actually likable, or are they all assholes? Because those both sound like not fun people to back on
human
either
nature
side.
Yeah,
We're the monsters, man.
It definitely, like, the early parts of that game feel like it's getting you to like the not cops, and then it feels like they try to muddy that in a way where it's like, oh, these people also sort of suck, and then hey, this cop just showed up to help me out and warn me about a thing, and maybe he's okay, but maybe not. Like, but I don't know. It's
multitudes.
But yes, you're right. It does eventually feel like I don't really care. Like the end game there, at least so far, is like I don't think I care about either of these factions because they just all seem like dicks. And I don't trust any of them to run much of anything. There's also a lot of, like it's hard to do in a game with choice, and I it's, you can't blame them for not getting this part right, but like in my head I've been playing that game like, oh, fuck the cops, these guys suck, they're super dicks. But like a story sequence leads to you getting caught, and then that very quickly leads to you accepting a mission to like figure out who killed the leader of the cops, and like all of your dialogue from your character is as earnest as it was talking to the humans. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I'll lie to these cops and tell them that I'll find this thing. But he's just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna, like the there's no nuance there. And how could there be, right? The game doesn't know that in my head I'm like already like fuck the cops. So it's. But at the same time, it led to this gigantic disconnect of like, oh, my dude is super down with the cops. I don't like this. This guy, like, these guys suck. Like, they have their military rank tattooed directly on them and all this other stuff. So it's, yeah, I don't know. There's just elements of that like, when you think about a game that touted as much change as it does, even early on, it just doesn't feel like it's making good on that. But again, I'm not deep enough in to really comment on how much the world changes as you assign these structures to different factions and how much that actually matters.
Would you also say that like your protagonist, like I do not know much about this game at all.
Aiden?
Warning. Is it like an actual, do you build this person at all?
He's
or is
Aiden.
it just Aiden?
This guy is a guy named Aiden.
Would you
Just
say he
another
has any
Aiden.
personality already that it's just like, well, maybe he's a little bit of a bootlicker, maybe he likes the cops or something?
No, I mean, he's
also hard to do.
Yeah, he's been out on his own for all this time and kind of an individualist, in a world where people are clustering together. So I think the only thing you really get is he's very single-minded about his sister, and he wants to kill the doctor that ran those tests. So it's like there's like a revenge bent to this very early on, and so he seems very single-minded in terms of wanting to find his sister and murder that motherfucker, and that's about it. And yeah, I don't know, there's a whole lot of video game in there, like when you think about the numbers they threw around for game length, and if you do every single side thing, which I can't imagine, and all that stuff, like, yes, it could be a very long game, but I can't say that anything that I've done in the dozen hours I've played of it has felt particularly great. Or really, like as I got deeper into the story, where it's like as the factions reveal themselves to both kind of suck, it didn't lead to me going like, I've got to see where this goes. It was more just like, I was super done with this. And yeah, I don't know. It's got co-op. I haven't seen how that stuff works. That could be entertaining from like a gameplay perspective, but like the combat itself is just so back up, step forward, clunk, back up, step, do a well-timed block. And you can do some goofy shit. Like on a stagger, you can like leap over a staggered enemy and do like a drop kick off of them, like lunge forward to kick someone who's behind them.
Okay.
And
I'm just visualizing that.
And, so there's just like some good, in theory, there's like some good little stuff there you can do off of some of those moves, but like, that's really just crowd control. Like, one of the bigger crowd control things you can unlock from the looks of the skill tree is like, you can hold down a button and do a spin attack. And, when you're fighting zombies, they're idiots. So you just clunk, 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 and clunk them off you and keep going. Like swinging on zombies isn't very fun. Like, the more interesting fights are against other humans. And there's a lot of bandits and other reasons why like the zombies feel like backdrop more than just like the actual enemy here. Man, as it turns out. Was the most dangerous
question for you, Jeff. Along. When you do the drop kick, do you drop all the way to the floor, or do you do? Okay, good.
You have to get up afterwards. It's yeah. It's like as far as like first person drop kick animations, it's pretty good. Okay. For what it is, and so it's like there are little concepts here and there that you're like, that's cool, but like you don't. It's just not that fun to get in there and do it, and yeah.
The 500 hours thing. That's all like side questy things. what's the nature of all these little side things they want you to do? I'm sure there's 50 different kinds of collectibles.
There is. The map is just rotten with, so at any point you can
clear
bring
out
up
this faction from here and reclaim it, maybe. Like,
oh,
what other
that's
things we
way
got
deeper
here?
than most of the stuff that I've seen so far. There are actual side quests with story and stuff like that you will find, but like there's also a lot of like, so at any point, usually when you're up high, but you can kind of do it anywhere, is like you can pull out your binoculars and just look around, and it becomes like Mad Max. Do you remember? No one remembers Mad Max, but
The MMO.
Yeah, it's the MMO. You would get up in a tower, the Assassin's Creed tower equivalent, and then you could look around and mark things on your map.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At any point, you can pull out your binoculars, and it will start to like go and click in when it thinks there's something nearby that it will highlight. And so you can look around and find all this side stuff. But a lot of it's just like, here's a store. At night, you could go raid this store for items, and then sell those items for money, or maybe they'll be upgrade materials, and they're not necessarily rare upgrade materials. They're just upgrade materials. There's a bunch of character upgrade items. There's over 100 of them around the world. That you find as well, and so it'll let you know when you're close to one. So sometimes there'll be little puzzly type things of like, oh, I know that there's a chest I need to open in here that's got the piece of heart equivalent, the Zelda piece of heart equivalent I need to eventually upgrade either my health or my stamina. And so finding all of those would be like a potential goal that I could see someone getting into. But I don't know. It's fine.
Are they just like, go here, find this, go here, find this?
It's not even that. It's like, here's a place you could go loot at night if you want.
Wow, there's no like environmental puzzles or anything that's like, oh, here's a bit of a weird challenge to get something, or is it just like walk over here?
Here's
it's
a wind.
here.
The environmental challenge. Like there's a windmill, you have to figure out how to climb it, and they're all different. And
okay.
There's like parkour challenge type stuff around that. There actually also is parkour challenges that are like, hit these 5 rings, and the faster you do it, the more parkour XP will give you. And so there is like literal.
What's the diegetic reason for the rings? Are they like,
well, the weird thing is that they put there is this big sign in World that you're running up to and hitting a button that like then like it's bizarre.
You gotta spend your time somehow,
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
man, that's
stuff's
funny.
Stuff's a little silly.
I love like gritty worlds where all of a sudden there's like a super video gamey thing in it with
Yep.
like no explanation. It's like,
yeah.
wow,
That's
so
their
weird.
that's their version of that. And I don't know. It's not like I don't think it's necessarily a bad game. I just think it's like it's pretty monotonous.
It's a
and
game.
so so I could see some people going like, hey, I super played this while listening to podcasts for a month and a half, and I got 500 hours. I could totally see people doing that and going like, yeah, it was fine. But it's hard to be like very emphatic about it, kind of one way or the other. It came out, it's fine. It's not, it's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna blow your wig back in terms of like, look at all the new stuff they're doing. It's like, it's all right, it's okay.
My wig.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's just like that style aging in a way that
we talked about it a little bit when Far Cry 6 was coming out,
right.
like that style of open world game. And I think that there is that increasing divide of like people that want that and are ready for more of that, and people that are not. And I think there's an ebb and flow of it. I know with me personally, there's an ebb and flow of like, if I can stay away from a big open world game for long enough, and it happened with Far Cry 6 initially, where I was like, oh yeah, I am ready for Far Cry 6. I could use a game like this in my life right now. And then it turns out I was wrong. After about 8 hours in, I was like, oh, I don't want to play any more of this goddamn game.
Let me fast travel everywhere.
Yeah. And so, I think that, different people are going to have different levels of appetite for that style of open world game. And so, like I said, I think that there's a ton of people that would love to check off a lot of the checklists in this game, and it sounds like it's doing fine. So people are at least buying it and checking it out. But like, I don't know. In a world where there are so many of those, I'm gonna usually look for one that's trying to do more stuff, different stuff, better stuff, than
Or at least more interesting story wise. So
Yep.
it feels a little
yeah,
more
some kind of
like
hook.
you're invested, you know?
Yeah, some kind of hook. And the timer tick down stuff at night, I think, has the potential to be that. And I think in in Dying Light 1, that like nighttime was terrifying. Here it feels a little less terrifying. Like it's still, you still like, if basically there's a type of zombie that will call for backup, and if it sees you at night and gets through its howling, basically it's almost like a Grand Theft Auto, like you got a star and suddenly there are just zombies chasing you everywhere. They somehow remember how to climb up to rooftops when you're in this chase mode.
What?
Normally the rooftops are pretty safe, but like if you're in chase, they'll scramble up there for you. And so it's like it becomes this mad dash to get back to the light, basically, and it's conceptually interesting. But like if you're out in the world and your timer's ticking down, they give you items you can use to refill your immunity meter, and some of those items are UV shrooms.
Like from
You find glow in the dark
MGS3.
shrooms and you take them, and it gives you another 30 seconds of not being a zombie.
Okay.
My doctor
Yeah, like
recommended
recharge
that.
your batteries.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. And, it's whatever. It's a video game.
Jeff, can you turn off the in-game timer at all? Because Unsighted, a game from last year that had a similar like life timer, you could just turn that off for so people would take their time with the game. Here, is it just constantly ticking?
I think it's constant. I mean, that's such a huge component of like being out at night that I don't think there is a lower difficulty setting that's like story mode or whatever that maybe makes it easier, but I doubt it would disable it completely, because there are so many systems based on like, hey, if you're going to be out at night, you need to make these short dashes out and make sure you know where your safe zone is so you can recharge, and you get bonus XP for being out at night.
Okay.
And stuff like that. The kind of I don't think they would get rid of it completely, but maybe the timer is longer on the easier setting. I don't actually know.
Just keep taking shrooms.
Yeah, just keep taking shrooms. They're everywhere. I had
That's
so
a
many
big
of
one.
them. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's weird to the people got all. When it came out, and I think some of the reviews were kind of middling, there was just an element of people going like, I can't believe this Dying Light. Like, really? You're going to bat for Dying Light 2, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but like, it's a weird one it's a weird hill, I guess. Let's talk about Sifu.
Oh man.
Another game. A lot of Sifu discourse over the past couple of days.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
From all different places.
Yeah.
I need to say I need help with this game. It is 100% occupying my headspace right now, but I am at odds with the game. On paper, I fucking love the shit out of this. This is very much my jam. But at the same time, it's extremely hard and very punishing.
Oh.
I have trouble calling it a beat 'em up because, in beat 'em ups like a Streets of Rage, a Final Fight or something like that, the enemies barely put up any kind of fight. But in Sifu, any one of those dudes can fucking knock you out in like a couple hits. Dying is both essential for leveling up and just very certain at any given time. When you die, you actually age. That's kind of the roguelike mechanic to this.
Which is different from reality.
That's not exactly how it works. But they try and explain it away with this magical like pendant thing that you have with a bunch of coins on it. The game starts out actually with you playing as the antagonist, and you're going to take over, Sifu's school or whatever, or get something that his master, the Sifu, had. And it ends with the kid, yourself, whether you choose to be a boy or a girl, them getting their like throat slashed, and then lying in a pool of blood, but then you magically come back to life. Anyway, revenge mode sets in, and at about age 20, you decide to take on these 5 people that have killed your father. So yeah, classic revenge story. Nothing new there, but
And so this is from the developers of Absolver. I know
Yeah, Slow
you
Clap.
played the shit out of Absolver. Do
I
any of those
did.
skills translate over?
Kind of, sort of. Like they've really streamlined the combat. If you remember in Absolver, man, there were 4 different like attack stances that you would have. You know, whether you were facing forward and left, or
Right.
having your back towards them and right, and your free flow combat would, depend on which way you were standing. You know, so you could actually chain together a whole string of combos. It's a little different this time. There's really just there's button tap motions where you hit like forward or back forward and an attack. There are straight up just like freeform combos where you can hit XXX and then hit Y for a heavy attack. But where it really starts getting nuanced and layered is with the parry and dodge system. And that's something that's completely essential to learn right out of the gate, and another reason why I have trouble calling it a beat 'em up. The parry is just like a timed. You block it. There's things you can do afterwards, like push them away, or you can do a rapid strike afterwards. You can also hit the parry button and hit up or down to either jump over low attacks or duck high attacks. And then there's on the right trigger, there's just a straight up dodge motion, which is super helpful too for like unblockable attacks or stuff that would cause you damage if you were to block, like if you're trying to block a knife or fucking machete or something. It's fucking tough, and it is very much rooted in like a roguelike, a Souls almost kind of. You're going through, you're unlocking shortcuts and such. The aging mechanic is something that it's hard to grasp. I think whenever you die, your like life counter goes up by 1, but it's additive. So at some point, you've died 5 times. The next time you die, you're going to lose like 5, or you're not going to lose. You're going to age by like 5 years, and it goes up to like around age 70 or something like that.
Dang.
But it's in a way, it's a kind of a risk reward. Like at lower ages, you're a little more sturdier. You can take more damage, but you don't dish out. And it's the inverse. When you get old, you're kind of like a glass cannon.
Damn, that's life.
That is life. That is life. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I still feel like this game speaks a language that I'm not understanding when it comes to, I guess I'd call it like enemy levels. Sometimes people you encounter have like flaming limbs.
Yes, those
like
are like
knees
lieutenants. Those are uniques.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes they can just block anything. Like if you can unlock a finishing move that basically it's a combo that once you hit it, you'll do a very stylish finishing move, regain some health in the process. But sometimes those enemies can counter that and just say like, nah.
Yep, they're a little bit tougher.
You're not gonna do it.
You want to use like focus attacks for those,
right?
And that's kind of like the metered combat. As you're building up, meter down in the lower left corner by beating up dudes or whatever. You can like slow down time and then choose like a focus attack. I like the low sweep one because that'll knock them on the ground, and you can just start pounding on them afterwards. That's very effective. But yeah, those lieutenants and like special uniques or whatever, they're tough as shit.
It's strange.
I mean, you'll die in a couple of hits. It's
nuts. Like I'll enter a room and take out everyone, and then some there's one person left, and it's like 2 hits, you're dead.
Yep.
And you're just so I guess obviously there's a lot of like skill and strategy and sort of concentration that has to go into this. I feel like I'm not learning it maybe the way the game like wishes I would learn it. I think from the time that we played that preview and now the sort of novelty of like making our way through that one level compared to what we do now, it's a bit of a different game. And also they took out Ottomans. Like, did you notice that?
I did not notice that.
You can't hit
not
I,
notice that.
I don't know. Maybe I'm.
Oh, that's a skill actually.
Oh, it's a skill.
that you
Okay,
have-
okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. In order to
boy.
like work with the environment, like
Got
automatically
it.
throw bottles.
Yeah. Okay. I got
that's
really
something you gotta
upset
unlock.
that I thought Ottoman
Automatically.
weapons were out of this game. But yeah, so I think it's interesting how like you can in your current run, upgrade stuff that resets after when you die, and you can kind of like permanently unlock stuff if you like unlock it,
Yep,
right?
keep investing in it.
Which I think is a fun idea. It's just very unforgiving, and
totally.
you get real far in a level, and then you die, and then you got to start over, and that's like the part where I'm just like, oh mother, am I gonna do this again?
Yep.
So it's I am enjoying it, and I think there is a wild amount of with all the sort of parrying and dodging that you can do and that you learn, where you're like, okay, I need to sort of like hold on to the parry button, but you can combo that with a high and low attack dodge, and then there's just a ton of combos that you have to be constantly aware of.
Yeah, there's a lot of systems. It's very nuanced and layered. It's
but
kind of amazing actually.
I do dig it. It feels real good, especially super satisfying when you pull something off. But man, it is a frustrating game that people are going to crack controllers over.
Yep.
Does it feel satisfying in a way though, where you want to see another studio rip off this combat system and like kind of like perhaps refine it or make it a little easier? Because I mean, like after the one Batman game, that became the standard for beat 'em up combat, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, sure, steal it. Steal
absolutely.
it, and
they keep these like awesome animations. It looks great in motion. It's pretty fucking sick. Yeah.
And I do love that when you get your hands on a weapon, like you just start to fuck people up in a way that you would if you were really good with like a pipe.
Invest in weapon upgrades.
Invest in pipes.
Invest in pipes. So one of the very frustrating things about this game, the aging mechanic. Let's say that I got to the boss of the first level and I just barely beat him. Like I'm in my 60s, right? Like, and I know that 70 is like the cutoff point. Say you do beat him, you go into the next level, the next area at the same age every time until you go back to that initial stage and beat it again at a younger age.
Yeah.
So right now
it's crazy.
I'm pissed because I'm so old. Like when I start the club level or whatever. So I'm going back to the first stage again just to try and
hate being old in the club.
Yeah. No one likes being the old guy in the club for sure. That's interesting. That's weird. It's like Tempest or something.
It fucking sucks. I hate it. I hate that mechanic. But
at least they've got a way to earn it back. I mean, so I guess. So what? Sorry, maybe you said, but like, you say you go up to age 70. What happens if you die again? Is it just like
game over?
Okay.
You game over and and then you turn 20 again and start over again.
Yeah.
Or can you go back to the start of the level you were on at or the previous level and try to do better, or what?
Yeah,
what do you?
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I just beat his level, but I'm going back and trying to get a better run. Where I'm at a younger age.
Okay.
Is it
and
the
that's
same
where
like
it's getting frustrating.
Enemies every time, like same enemy layout and stuff like that? Okay.
Yeah, and that's I think by design, obviously. I don't think they want to randomize this.
I was just curious, like how rogue like-ish, like.
It's certainly not randomized, with the exception of the lieutenants or whatever.
Right.
They can be somebody random all the time.
Okay.
And the enemies should age too. That's what's bullshit.
Yeah, God damn it.
You want to fight old ladies. That's what you're trying to say.
I just want to beat up an old man.
They age the other way and they just become children, and then you're just
sold. How many toddlers could you take?
Yeah, I permanently unlock this pipe it up, motherfucker. Just like clunk.
You just hit pumping toddlers as far as the eye can see.
See, when you think about it, if you tried to drop kick a toddler, that'd be more damaging to you, right?
Yeah,
you got to aim.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's impossible to drop kick a toddler.
Oh,
Like,
I could try.
you would look so dumb. You
Oh,
would look
yeah,
so
totally.
dumb. You couldn't. You would just be like, "What does this person do?" Oh, I think he tried to drop kick a toddler, and that's why he fell on his keys. Look at that.
Ow!
Oh, damn it.
I don't know. Sifu's great, and it's also terrible at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love hate for sure.
Yeah, it's a weird relationship I've got.
Yeah, I want to check it out. Like, I liked the idea of Absolver, and then as it started getting tough, I was like, I don't like this idea that much to really bang my head against it for that long. So,
yeah, and this game is kind of like that as well. There's going to be people that just completely nope out due to the difficulty. I think
if you have like 20 minutes to just get mad, have a seat with Sifu.
Oh, I can get mad, and I don't need 20 minutes to fucking get mad.
Just,
I got a website for you. It's called Twitter.
Yeah.
It's fun watching people
free.
play this on Twitch, and you're just like, oh, they're gonna be so pissed. Like, that's kind of been a great part of this.
Nice. Yeah,
for sure.
OlliOlli World is also out. I have been fooling around with that. We play a little bit of it on the show on Friday. It is OlliOlli with a graphical redesign. You know, it's a nice looking game. You can customize your character and do all the stuff. You're constantly unlocking new boards and hats, but it's got this kind of more cartoony, fleshed out polygonal style. Whereas, you know, when that game originally was coming out, it was more of a pixely styled thing. But it is a 2D skateboarding game, and it has a Tony Hawk-esque set of tricks from grinds, reverts, all this other stuff. You know, you can, but you're scrolling from left to right, and you are skating a level and trying to string together as many cool tricks as possible. And it feels very good. The control in all these games, like I feel like the things I like about OlliOlli World are the things I liked about OlliOlli 1, and they have honed that system for sure by now and made it a little bit more forgiving, and I think it's a little more accessible, and it's maybe a little too similar in some ways too, where I feel like this is the OlliOlli I've been playing all along, and I don't, it's fine. And yeah, it's they've got a story in there. They're trying to find the next like skate wizard, and so they're doing tryouts. The current skate wizard is doing tryouts to figure out who the next one's going to be. Is it you? We'll see. It probably is. I'm guessing it is. I don't know. I haven't finished it, but
Finally.
Yeah. They've got objectives in there, kind of side objectives that you can complete or not if you want, and it's it'll be like hit 5 things, get through the level without having to respawn. Just different types of. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, high five, Mike. Hang out with Dad, like some of the other characters in the game, all that other stuff. It's an analog stick based system, so you're not really, you do push with the A button, but you are just kind of like holding the analog stick in a direction and letting off to do a trick, or doing different motions on the left stick to make those tricks happen. And then the other stick for grabs, and so there's that. But it is very much like string that combo together, do a manual here, do this, do that, and yeah. I thought OlliOlli 1 was awesome. What an awesome game. One of those games that it came to other platforms, but it was one of those games that I think I probably hit first on the Vita. I feel like I played that game almost exclusively on the Vita.
Yeah,
Really?
I think that's what I did.
Yeah, and it was a hell of a Vita game.
Sure.
And yeah, I don't know. They've put in asynchronous multiplayer here, so as your Steam friends or whoever do runs and stuff, you can see their scores and do all that stuff, and yeah. So it's like in some ways you look at it and go, wow, they really blew out OlliOlli in all these directions, but it's still that game. It is still absolutely that game, and I think that's fine. I don't know. I'm not as excited for it as I was for, say, OlliOlli 2, which I guess I didn't actually play that much of because it was like, this is a lot like OlliOlli 1, which I did play the shit out of. And so, yeah, I think it's another case of just like, this is an awesome series. And especially if you haven't played those other games, like, I think it's super fun. It's also really, really fast.
Yeah.
And so in some of these levels where you're like, oh, there's like some branching paths and stuff in this one. So you can kind of take a harder road, and some of the collectibles might be on one path or the other, but you kind of don't know that. And I don't know, the levels are not so densely packed with trickable stuff, and you're just going left to right. You don't really have the ability to stop and go back, and you're not like setting up a line like you would in a 3D skateboarding game. So it's kind of like that shit's just coming at you, and it's coming at you fast. And if you don't react in time and miss it, you either need to respawn back to your last checkpoint or just do the whole level again and all that other stuff. So really, some of those objectives are really focused on you memorizing that level in a way. And I'm not really interested in memorizing those levels because I just don't think they're not as just they don't have a lot of character to them. It's just like you're on a boardwalk and then there's some steps and then you can branch off and there's also a thing to grind here, and they all kind of run together in a way. So but there are a lot of them. It's not like there are just like 10 levels, here you go. It's you've got a pretty big world map from the looks of things. And because it's OlliOlli World, they have an expansion pass they're selling. Like they're planning future updates and stuff like that. So we'll kind of see where they get to with it. It's cool. It is. But on some level, I feel like it's best suited for people who maybe haven't already played a whole ton of OlliOlli. Because I felt kind of like I've done a lot of this already, and I don't know that I definitely don't want to do all the side objectives of like learning these levels well enough to catch the starfish or do all this other stuff. So, that's me. But yeah, that is out there. It's pretty nice for what it is. And, check it out.
Cool.
That's cool.
Let's see. Jeff Baclar, you got a Steam Deck. I think that's all we can say about that, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's about all we could say.
Extent.
What's so weird is like we're in a position right now where we have a Steam Deck. Can't talk about it.
Yep.
We can talk about a video that's posted, like Linus's video or whatever.
Or all these devs that are showing screenshots of it,
yeah,
or pictures of it next to things, because obviously there are a ton of them out there now.
Totally. But as I understand it, we cannot agree or disagree with any video out there.
Well, you can't.
What about our own video that we put out?
Why don't you guys watch like Linus's video?
So going over some of the coverage that's been out there as people have gone through it. Like one of the things that stands out to me is like it seems a lot. I mean, they did talk about the size of it and all that stuff, but now that you're seeing pictures of it next to things, there's an element of like, that thing's fucking big.
I can't confirm that.
Bigger.
Wait. Can I confirm that? Because I saw the thing.
You can confirm
you saw
that
one. Yeah,
months ago.
Yeah, the thing's fucking big, right?
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's like you need Jinkos if you want to slap that bad boy in your pocket.
Well,
I do actually.
I might be in luck.
Yeah. And then one of the reports said that all of the haptic stuff felt really cheap and toy-like.
Really?
I don't know.
Okay.
Excellent. Good job.
I don't remember haptics when I checked it out months ago.
Yeah. Okay.
I cannot confirm or deny if you do not remember what happened all those months ago.
Yes.
Fantastic.
What does it
That's our
taste like?
bacalar.
Yeah, and also it seems like the people that have covered it so far have been limited to around 7 games. Forza Horizon 5 was one of those games, and they said, "Hey, this doesn't run great." The frame pacing or whatever you want to,
Really?
different things about it.
Complaining about that a lot. Yeah.
Was he? Oh, I don't know. Can you even say that?
I'm just telling you what I saw in the video. Okay. I watched this video. It's pretty good. Like, go check it out. That some of that stuff is maybe. I mean, we'll see. Obviously that thing is not a full-on. Fucking, it ain't got a 3090 in it. It's gonna be what it is. 3090.
It's a tiny 3090 that is a zillion degrees. I mean,
Eat up your coffee,
I think for the price and all that other stuff, I think, it's important to kind of keep expectations in some form of check. But I don't know. Sounds like a lot of video game developers are working real hard right now to try to get their games ready or optimize as best they can around this thing in a very short period of time, which with the delay and some of that other stuff, I might have thought they would have been a little bit further along. But sure sounds like devs are like, oh shit, we gotta do some stuff. I think Tim Sweeney or somebody from Epic was out there saying basically that, that they're putting a lot of work into the anti-cheat stuff that they own to try to get it working as best they can. But it's not necessarily about like getting Fortnite running at this current time and all this other stuff. So I am really curious to see like what launch day for the Steam Deck looks like in terms of games that have been whitelisted to run on it. How many are there? What's there? How well that stuff runs. Like there's just enough stuff around this now that I'm like, all right, well, let's see where they get to. I mean, obviously, they'll keep working on the software side of things for years to come. But like, I'm curious, what does launch day for the Steam Deck look like? Especially like they're not shipping their own game with it, right? I know there's a branch, there's a Half-Life 2 branch.
Give me another orange box. Fucking A. Let's
Ooh.
go.
Yeah. I don't know if this is like in the main branch now or not, but like there was a Half-Life 2 branch that seemed to update a lot of the navigation stuff in a way that made you look like, oh, they're going to make this work with a controller because they're about to ship the Steam Deck. So it looks like they're doing some of their stuff to their existing games, but not. Yeah, I don't know. I guess. Well, I don't know what they would ship. Like, I don't know what kind of handheld thing what you're not putting out it's not like it's VR where you're like, oh, here's a whole new experience.
Unless they release a holder, you just strap the Steam Deck
There you go.
right on top.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
That
bad
would
for
be
your neck.
comfortable.
Yeah, a very Nintendo Labo-like solution.
Oh, please, God, no. Here, you
I
recycle this.
I hope the Steam Deck takes off in such a way that we start to get like all these weird peripherals and third-party cases that like it just becomes a fashion thing. Because like I was looking on eBay for Game Boy Advance bags, and there's so many different types of bags: crossbodies, regular bags, fanny packs. I found a leg holster Game Boy Advance bag. I think might have been a custom job, but I'm like, I should have rolled up to school with that. I would have been the coolest kid.
Bring that to a bar, that's a conversation starter.
It doesn't matter if you're old in a club anymore. You got that bad boy.
Got that.
Yeah, that'll set you apart for sure.
I guess what we can talk about is like we're later this month we'll have a whole day that we do a lot of stuff with it, and it'll be a great time.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that thing for real. I still have my pre-order in for mine, and like I'm in whatever the second wave is or something. So if people don't buy a Steam Deck, I get mine sooner. So
I wonder how many are going to be rolling out. That's an unanswered thing out there right now too.
And then all the waiting list is like, so it's technically the 25th is when orders will open up, but they're saying people won't start getting them until the 28th, and you'll basically like when your number is up, you'll have 3 days to act on whether you want it or not, and then they'll just move on to the next person in line. So yeah, I don't know, like the when people will get them stuff seems like it probably won't get any worse, but it seems like it could get better for some people that are in certain parts of the line or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Like that. The other thing is I want to see when people really start ripping that thing apart and installing like side loading a bunch of wild shit onto it, and how well it does. With various other kind of non-Steam software.
All the stuff I've watched. This is again videos I've watched, not my own brain.
Yes.
Have gotten me very excited about like all the other stuff. Like all the other potential stuff, how open it kind of does feel out of the box. So that is a lot of fun to think about where that's going to go and what that scene will look like.
Yeah. But also that thing is massive. So, yeah.
It's a big boy from what I hear.
It's a large dude of a system. All right, that's gonna do it for this. Also, Arcade Pit,
yes,
is returning to Giant Bomb.
ladies and gentlemen, starting February 16th, Arcade Pit is going to be weekly on Giant Bomb. Are you not freaking out?
I
That's
am.
fucking nuts.
It is fucking nuts. Smite and Emily, who hosted the show on the Bombathon, it was just like the wildest thing I'd ever seen in my entire fucking life.
The Slack between Bacalar and I was just rapid fire of like, whoa.
It's like, what? Did you see that? Are you kidding me?
Whoa.
This is what? So that dumbass conversation that we had manifested itself. And yeah, we're going to start things off the 16th. We will do, we're trying to still get some sort of like US Open style sponsor for it. But the Giant Bomb, the Arcade Pit on Giant Bomb Invitational, which will be a 2-on-2 round robin tournament, will start things off on the 16th. And after we finish that whole thing and a champion is crowned, we're going to start inviting some friends and family of the Giant Bomb universe on as guests and contestants. So hell yes, very excited about this.
Yeah. So that will happen next week, start happening next week, and it's going to keep happening.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to stop.
That's right. So watch out for that.
And hype.
With that, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll get into the news. A lot of stuff happened. And we'll talk about that next. The line between dreams and reality is ever so blurry. But let's eliminate the blur completely. Let's just make them the same. Let's make the dreams real. Let's turn to Squarespace and make it happen. Squarespace makes it easier than ever to launch your passion project. What are you doing? No, not right now. I mean, like, what are you doing? Like, what's your thing? What are you trying to do? You're looking to start a new business? You're trying to get your old business online a little bit better? You're looking to showcase your work, publish some stuff, sell some stuff, whatever you're looking to do, Squarespace can make it happen. They've got beautiful templates that are created by world-class designers. You can customize just whatever you're trying to do. With just a few clicks and easily make a beautiful website all by yourself. You can build it beautiful. Plus, they have e-commerce functionality for selling stuff. And the analytics help you grow your site in real time. You look at the numbers, you go like, maybe this needs to be here, move this up here, move this product over here, drop this price, raise this price. Everything now is perfect, right? Numbers, analytics. It's all optimized for mobile, so you can use a phone. It's 2022. You can use a phone to look at this website. It's crazy. Buying domains is simple, and you'll get the help you need with Squarespace's 24/7 award-winning customer support. Squarespace empowers millions of people to turn great ideas into something real. Real reality. Not this crazy, not some haze, not some brain fog where you're like, what if I made plates and sold them? No. Make it happen. Here's how. Head to squarespace.com/bombcast for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code BOMBCAST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/bombcast, and the offer code is BOMBCAST. Keeps. Very smooth. Rolls off the tongue just right. That's the new official. That's got to be. We're going to forward this off to Keeps, and they're going to say, that's so good. This is now the official Keeps song. Did you know that 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of hair loss by the time they are 35? It's true. That's why there's Keeps. Keeps offers a simple, stress-free way to keep your hair. You just keep it from falling out. It can fall out. 2 out of 3 men. 2 out of 3. That's 66% or so. If you don't want to round, if you're not into rounding. They've got convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications that are delivered straight to your door every 3 months. You don't got to go out and see anybody. This is low cost. Treatments start at just $10 a month and Keeps offers generic versions. The packaging is discreet, the results are proven, and Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors. Prevention is key. Treatments can take 4 to 6 months to see results, so act fast. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/bomb to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/bomb to get your first month free. keeps.com/bomb. We're back, and now it's time to get into the news. The news of the world this week in video games. Is that the? I think that's that's what happened. That's what this is. Starting with Nintendo, you've heard of them. Super Mario Brothers. These guys.
That one game.
Rings a bell.
Yeah.
Oh, the card game makers. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Leave luck to heaven.
Home
Nintendo.
of Birdo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go on.
That's it.
all I got.
Yeah.
They're
Nintendo.
doing
Home of
fighting
Birdo.
birdos.
Yeah, sports games.
They are, a lot of talk lately about who's gonna buy who. And people building out their fantasy drafts for where the battle lines will be drawn in our.
Is that fun for
like-
people? Like, do they purposely want that to happen, or are they just
I
playing
don't
like
know.
fantasy?
I think it's
building?
just fantasy. Yeah, it's like
Right.
fantasy CEO shit.
I think there are also some people that are like still so far down the weird console fanboy rabbit hole that they're like, it would really stick it to everybody if Microsoft bought Sega. Fuck you, Sony dick. And it was like,
Put the Duke controller on my motherfucking tombstone, baby.
exactly. Yeah. Like, there's still that.
I hope
that
someone
still happens out there.
I hope someone has an Xbox Duke controller chest tattoo somewhere. I hope.
Oh, you
Just Peter
from
Moore.
your Peter Moore, from your mouth to God's ears, and it is declared. I promise you, there is some fool out there with a Duke controller tattoo. I don't know if I can go as far as to say the chest tat,
Mm-hmm.
but it's out there.
What does it
It's a
say
big
around
hit
it?
the
Is it
chest
just
tag.
like, does it say like respect the old school or something?
Like
is it someone trying to
Munch's
imply that?
Odyssey or something?
Yeah.
I
Or
paused
like
my
the
game
the
for this.
Xbox, the original Xbox, that's old school. Like what? Come on. Get an Odyssey 2 tattoo and we'll talk.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, Nintendo had its earnings call where they kind of cut back the forecasts for Switch hardware, talking about, hey, guess what? Microchips, still hard to find them. And so, we may not make as many Switches. We may not be able to meet demand, all that sort of stuff. But also in there, as it relates to this acquisition frenzy, was this a report out of Bloomberg, basically, where Nintendo says like, nah, we're not really looking to acquire anybody. An interesting quote here from Furukawa of Nintendo, who says, our brand was built upon products crafted with dedication by our employees, and having a large number of people who don't possess Nintendo DNA in our group would not be a plus to the company. Which I could not agree more.
Yep.
When you think about Nintendo, how they operate, the choices they make, the games they decide to make, all this other stuff, the idea of Nintendo going out and acquiring a bunch of someone else's IP and then running, like, it just doesn't line up with anything about the way Nintendo functions.
Who does online multiplayer really well?
Nintendo.
Well, can
More
you
than
imagine?
Epic. I mean,
Sure, Epic, right?
Yeah.
Nintendo acquiring Epic and then making them. No, you need. I know
I would
those
go the other
systems
way,
work well.
but-
You
you
gotta
gotta trash all that.
exactly. I need you to download an app for your phone to communicate with other people.
Yeah. Who could they really ruin to get that Nintendo DNA in there? Yeah, there's a lot number. I think like the closest that I think would make any sense would be Sega, but when you think about what Sega is now, I don't think that's a good fit anymore.
Right.
It would have been at one point. But no.
Yeah, I feel like people rooting for acquisitions. It is like a fantasy football thing, and it mostly stems from like people wanting their niche favorite game to be in better hands, and that's the only time that I am tweeting about that shit is like
I mean,
being a dumb Silent Hill shithead that's just like, somebody make something, come on, I'm
But-
desperate.
but you know what? Like, it works. people can do that now. You can get mad enough, and Sony will make a Deadpool movie exactly the way you want it. Is it Sony, whatever, whoever made? Like that's the
That would
thing.
just make me madder, though.
Not the crowd of the internet, the quote unquote like wisdom of that crowd, right? Like that's what happened.
The,
right?
the wisdom of
People-
Deadpool fans.
Well, I'm just saying,
Free Guy
or
was
the
technically
persuasiveness.
Deadpool 3.
not wisdom, the persuasiveness,
Yeah.
right? Like
Gamers
Deadpool
did,
showed
you
up
know,
in that fucking weird ass X-Men movie, like as I don't know what was going on there, and that
fucking
was
his mouth is- oh no.
that was so traumatizing for a group of people that they just made it happen. Like they got mad enough. And look, if you're a movie
and-
studio, you're like, oh my god, there's 8 million people
The
who
Snyder
are just like,
Cut
give me
is,
this kind of Deadpool.
is another
Yeah, I
ultimate
mean,
example
yes,
of
like,
that.
Snyder Cut.
like movies, it feels like an industry right now where no one knows what makes a hit movie, and so they're just like particularly susceptible to the whims of like a campaign like that.
fans.
And just like, I guess we'll make what they're saying they want instead of what we
Yeah.
think they want. Like, yeah,
Famously, Sonic's face. Sonic's
it's
face
more-
got unfucked
Yeah.
because people got really mad at the
Sure.
really
Sure.
funny bad face he had. And
They
now I'm pissed
convinced-
off that we didn't get that movie with that demonic fucking Sonic in it.
yeah.
That
Where's
would've been
the
hilarious.
fucking demonic face cut? Where's my
I
fucking
wanna see that
hashtag for
footage.
that?
better than
Yeah.
better than the butthole cut of Cats. I want the
Yeah.
fucked up Sonic face cut of Sonic the Hedgehog.
They got Kate McKinnon to be in a movie about the Joe Exotic thing. Like
Nuts.
that's
Someone
the
want
power
that?
of it, huh?
I mean, I
Someone
like
want
Kate
that?
McKinnon, but I didn't need that.
I like Kate McKinnon.
Was there
but
a hearty demand for that?
there was
I
enough.
missed.
There was enough of a thing where that, at the start of the pandemic, that show comes out and the internet's like, fuck, I can't get,
Well, I just
I can't
know
get
for-
enough of that shit.
I just know for a
And-
total fact that Konami is not ever going to listen to me, so it
But
does not matter.
I
Silent
don't-
Hill fans have been mad for longer than they've been happy, so there's no way that that particular genre of fan rage is ever going to get any work done. So
I don't think Nintendo would give in to that outrage because, like, look at the
Yeah,
crowd
they got
response
too
to
much
Chris
dignity.
Pratt being the voice of Mario, right? Like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
they don't
think,
care.
yeah.
If Nintendo cared, like they, about
yeah,
that,
this is
you know,
there's exceptions.
there's a lot of like things that would have changed about their online stuff. For example, there's a lot of like Nintendo does things in a very Nintendo-like way, and that is code for not the fucking way you want it done in a lot of cases, and it's worked out for them this far. But yeah, I do think, they have acquired studios over the years, but it's been like they bought Next Level Games. When did they do that? That was last year.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so there are cases, and then that's a Vancouver-based team. Like there have been external studios that Nintendo has worked with and been like, oh, this team gets it. They understand what it is to work with Nintendo, to be Nintendo, all this other stuff. Let's do this. Just going out and saying like, Capcom's stock price down. Yeah, pick them. Like that's never gonna, that's
No.
just never gonna be what drives that company. So, I think that it's unsurprising, but also interesting to hear them come out and say it, in the wake of like, I'm sure a lot of investors are just like, who are you guys going to buy? And they're like, fuck off. Leave us alone. Which is cool. Grand Theft Auto 6.
What?
nice.
I thought they were on 5.
You seen it?
Yeah, I got a copy of it over here. You
To the
shoot
Steam Deck?
guys, you drive cars, you can
What?
shoot guys while driving cars. It's fucking crazy.
Whoa.
What's the hooker situation?
They got them.
Cool. I'm in.
Yeah. There's a whole thing. It's
on the
also
front of
it's
the box. What?
yeah.
That's weird.
EA 6.
Also,
What's the
it's
hooker
set in the Middle
situation?
Ages, which I thought was weird. But hey,
Finally,
they
they're
got
mixing up the formula.
Yeah, they got to
There's
make some
only
changes.
so many cars you can steal.
Yeah. Rockstar posted a Grand Theft Auto community update. And in this, they had a handful of details about upcoming projects. For one, GTA Online, Grand Theft Auto 5, is finally going to be coming to the current consoles, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, on March 15th. And as a part of that, they are going to release a dedicated GTA Online client, which will replace the onboarding. Like, as someone who went through this recently, I can say fucking it's long overdue. That this will be something that is, because before you had to play the story mode's prologue before it would let you
that's
play
right.
GTA Online.
Yeah, and that was kind of lengthy too.
Yeah, and that's it's a tutorial, and but it's also like the setup and start of that story. So if you don't care about that thing, it's a weird thing of like, why am I in the snow? What the fuck is going on? That just doesn't make a lot of sense. So they are building some specific GTA Online onboarding there, because they are separating those things out. And so you won't necessarily have to go buy GTA 5 to play GTA Online. And GTA Online will be free for the first 3 months on PlayStation 5. They said that ages ago. Sorry, the contract, which is the Dr. Dre themed story mode in GTA Online. There was new music from Dre and Eminem and Snoopy D-O-double-G.
Ah, yes.
And Anderson .Paak and the whole. It's like 6 tracks, something like that. And those are now on streaming services. Those were originally exclusive to the game.
Weird.
So people had to rip them out of the game and start bootlegging them around. But now they're just on Apple Music or whatever. They put them all up as singles, which is dumb. I don't think the tracks are great.
Okay.
The one in the one was in the trailer, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, like they're okay. You listen to them and they're like, "Did you record these for Compton?" And then are these tracks that got cut from Compton that you're just like, "Here, take them. Go ahead, Grand Theft Auto, knock yourselves out." Like they just sound like kind of also ran stuff from that era in a way. I don't know.
I don't think I like Eminem anymore.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There was a point.
That's bold.
Great, really good. Now, just like I don't know what you're doing, man.
There's no like he's like a parody of himself. It's like there's this weird like, okay, when Eminem got with Dr. Dre and they started putting out hit records, Guilty Conscience, think about like that era of the early kind of days of Eminem blowing up and stuff like that. Like you felt like there was an element of someone coming to him and saying like, no, like we of course you know how to freestyle and battle rap and all these intricate like, but this is a song. Like, do this in the context of a song. Like, ride the beat a little bit and try to, to tell a story, do something. And at some point after, was Recovery the first one that was good after a good long time of fucking bad records? Because it wasn't Relapse, so I guess it must have been Recovery, because Relapse was fucking terrible. Like at some point, like he just went off on his own and is just like, I'm gonna rap my ass off.
Yeah.
And stuff like Rap God came out and all this other shit that you're just like, okay, you have the most intricate rhymes in the fucking world. That's crazy. None of this is interesting to listen to more than once. None of these are good songs. It's like, yes, you can fucking go. Yes, you're going in, sir. But Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think he thought he won the MGK rap beef, but then I think Machine Gun Kelly ultimately wound up winning because he got all of the praise and like, oh, who's this guy? All right, cool. I hate Eminem. I'll listen to that guy instead.
Oh man, I don't know.
I think he gave him more popularity, if anything.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I already knew who Machine Gun Kelly was and hated Machine Gun Kelly. So for me, it was just like all right, yeah, fuck this guy. But yeah, maybe you're right. God, did he bring awareness to? I almost feel like like would it go the other way, or like at some point is it bringing awareness of Eminem to the kids or something? I don't know.
Oh.
Just bring back a D12. I mean, you can't bring back the D12.
Well, yeah, bring back a D10. Something like that. Bring back Bad Meets Evil.
Okay.
What's Royce doing these days? Other than like he has become an incredible MC over the last.
You know who's surprisingly okay? The game. The game is like, oh, all right. I forgot you were good.
All right, man. All right. No. The game. Okay, so I have liked the game in my days. The first 2 or 3 records whatever it was. But do you remember when Doctor's Advocate came out and the opening track of that is just the game, like after he's been separated from G Unit and like kind of kicked out of Dre's inner circle, whatever the fuck happened there. The first, A, calls his album The Doctor's Advocate. 2, track 1 on that is him fucking doing a goddamn Dre impression. Like every bit of it is just like him. It's like this weird love letter to Dr. Dre. And the game, I like the game because the game is like me. He's a fan of West Coast hip hop. The difference is that I don't write a bunch of fucking albums and put them out that say like, oh, I like Eazy-E. Like, of course you do.
There was a period of time where the game dipped away from me listening to him. So I think I'm just fondly remembering the game when he was with G Unit to like the 1 or 2 songs I've heard over the past 2 years. So like the bell curve there is the
song he did with Skrillex, the El Chapo. That's fun.
Yeah,
that's fun.
I have a soft spot for posse cuts where there's just too many people on a remix, so the one blood remix just puts him oddly very high in my book.
Yeah, no,
but I did not know that he did a very bad Dr. Dre imitation.
No, that's the fucked up thing about it. It's a really good one.
Oh,
it's like way too good. Like it's Dre tracks surface over the years, and there's one with T.I. called Topless, where it's like people, Dre doesn't write his own lyrics. Right? Like that's a known, like he doesn't hide that. Like, people come in and write for him. Jay-Z has written some of the tracks for him over the years. Like, it's a known thing that he uses ghostwriters. And so you'll have these scratch vocal tracks appear from time to time where it's like, here's T.I. writing a verse and performing it as if he were Dr. Dre. And it's fascinating. Because you think of T.I., you don't think about Dr. Dre. But here he is doing this, and you're like, wow, that's like you really kind of fell into that. Like the voice doesn't sound like him, but you hear it and you go like, I hear why you think Dr. Dre would perform these lyrics at some point. And it's like fascinating in that way. So like I imagine at some point fucking Game must have been writing for him as well, right? He got pretty good at it, I'm sure.
I think you sold me on checking this out. You did the opposite. This is the MGK Eminem effect,
Again, those first 2, Documentary and Doctor's Advocate, I think are fucking great records. And at some point the Game got that butterfly tattoo on his face, and you're just like, what the fuck are we doing here? And what is the fucking track with fucking Wayne? It was like goblins and Wayne.
Goblins versus Martians.
Fuck that. dumb shit. Just fucking stupid. He's really good at trying to rap like other people, but also not good enough at it. Okay.
GTA 6.
Yeah, GTA 6 is in active development. That was the other thing. There's a quote from them here. With the unprecedented longevity of GTA 5, we know many of you have been asking us about a new entry in the Grand Theft Auto series. With every new project we embark on, our goal is always to significantly move beyond what we have previously delivered. And we are pleased to confirm that active development for the next entry in the Grand Theft Auto series is well underway. We look forward to sharing more as soon as we are ready. So stay tuned for official details. They also had an earnings call where someone, I guess, had the audacity to ask them, hey, that GTA trilogy you put out sure was fucked up. Are you guys gonna fuck up the next Grand Theft Auto or what? And they were like, no. I'm Strauss Zelnick. We've learned a lot from that. And of course not. So yeah, I don't know. They're gonna make another GTA. This was not necessarily new news, but it is them officially confirming it. And I think between that and the earnings call kind of talking about it a little bit, like their stock spiked and stuff. They're like, oh, you're making a new GTA? Because people are fucking dumb. And I wonder what they'll do. I just don't know. I'm trying to think what would get people excited for a new Grand Theft Auto, or what would get Rockstar excited for a new Grand Theft Auto, because I think there's a fan base for this franchise, especially now that it's an online game, that they would just be like, make the cars hop more, or whatever. Like there's certainly people like that out there that would eat up whatever they deliver. But when I think about, again, Rockstar and what they have at least tried to do in each subsequent game, what will be the thing they would feel comfortable doing as a next Grand Theft Auto?
I would hope it's not like a modern day setting or current day setting, because it's trying to satirize that just sounds miserable. And I kind of hope that it's maybe not. It is going to be set in the U.S., I kind of hope it's not one of like the big metropolitan cities. I hope it's like somewhere like random, like I don't know. Let's go to Detroit. I feel like you could tell a really cool story about Detroit if they wanted to go that way.
Do you think there will ever be a Grand Theft Auto game about girl crime?
Actually,
Crime done by women's.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah. I think
Victory for feminism. Girls can do crimes too.
Yeah, I think that in some ways, like the boldest thing they could do is say, like, here's a female protagonist for
right.
like
But
their story.
I don't think they'd ever do it though, because it's just like their demographic is just going to be like.
I think, you're probably right. But like, I think that demographic though, like that fucking like those hooligans, those dipshits, will just create their own character for GTA Online.
Sure.
And they'll play that because I think like those meatheads I think are the like that's probably the big driving force for GTA Online. So like it almost feels like they have a little bit more leeway to do something weird with a story mode than maybe they would have in the past, because presumably they'll make a follow up to GTA Online as a part of this.
Yeah,
we don't know that, but I would expect.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be in the back of their heads because it's been just wildly successful. So I think at the end of the day, like it's going to steer where this new GTA is actually going to go. So I don't think Red Dead Online did very well for them. So I don't know if they'd make another period piece, but shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like, because if you think about a GTA sequel as like it tells its own story, all this other stuff, but it also has to be a world that can support the GTA Online sequel. I think it's hard to get away from modern era.
Yeah.
Because people want modern guns, modern cars, modern options.
The 90s.
Yeah,
the 90s are back in a big way.
That might be interesting.
Yeah,
like,
I mean that's
like the bad
that's
boy
San Andreas,
version of it,
right?
Yeah.
They already
East Coast San Andreas, or not West Coast, perhaps.
Well, I think it's more like nostalgia 90s, like even more unreal, like the way that we're kind of unrealistically like remembering the 90s through rose-colored glasses and jazz patterns and stuff like that.
Right.
So kind of like Vice City.
You want a vaporwave
90s.
GTA.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way that Vice City was incredibly goofy 80s.
Yeah.
Like almost unrealistically the 80s, fictionally the 80s.
Right.
Oh, man, it's almost like people in the 80s had no idea how cool they were. Right?
Right.
I just feel like that's the idea that that's like the story we're false telling with vaporwave and shit like that. And it's like, no, I don't think 80s, I don't know. I guess like the music was cool, but
yeah, like that stuff stood out in a way that I don't know. I feel like it did better than music from the 90s did. In a lot of ways.
I don't know.
But
I want it in Atlanta, and I want to see the big chicken in it. The KFC big chicken.
Okay.
Set it in Atlanta, Yep.
Okay.
I want to see.
Familiar with the big chicken? You should Google the KFC big chicken. It's a national landmark.
I always thought the next GTA was like due for something international.
I don't think that sells as well.
Yeah.
I think it's so American. Even though didn't it start in London or something? The first
they make it. Sure. No, the first game was still America. They did a add-on that was 1969 London.
Oh,
that's right.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So
has there been a GTA set in Las Vegas yet?
They did Los Fierro, I believe, is their Las Vegas in GTA 4. No, that was in San Andreas. Because San Andreas is the state of California. It's not just it's not just LA. And so they had a casino area there that you went to at some point.
I do remember like a casino area, but it didn't feel, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I'm misremembering. I don't know.
The technology was not as good then. So, they could only go so far with their it was very ambitious where they're like, we're going to render a whole state. And you're like, dog, this is a PlayStation 2. They're like, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Where do you think, if it wasn't in the US, where do you think where would it be?
Could you do a bunch of Brexit shit? Is that? I feel like there's just modern era stuff that like is just not worth satirizing because the modern world is such a fucking hilarious disaster that I don't know what you do to one up fucking reality on some of that shit.
I
But
feel like GTA wouldn't fit in Japan either.
No, that's just Yakuza,
Yeah, that's
and
Yakuza.
Yakuza's better.
No, yeah.
Yakuza's funnier and more interesting than GTA. There, I said it.
yeah, and you wouldn't have. I mean, like traffic and driving and cars and
It would be
stuff would be very
miserable.
different. It'd be pretty.
I stole this bullet
Pretty-
train.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All you have to
exactly.
do is follow the goddamn Shinkansen train, CJ.
Exactly.
It only goes 700 miles per hour.
Just standing on top of it, going "fuck." Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm really curious to see where they decide to take that thing. And I hope that it is. I hope that it's ambitious. I hope that they do something big and crazy. And don't just kind of fall back on like, here's what we think the online player base wants. Because I my sense is that would just lead to a similar type of environment as the one we have now.
And I'm afraid that's exactly what's going to happen, though.
Yeah, or you end up with like a New York, because if you think about it, they've really only rendered 3 areas of the country generally in detail. Really, it's been the the LA equivalent, the Miami equivalent, and the New York equivalent.
So what's left is Chicago.
Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Texas,
cool. Like
Wisconsin.
there's fun shit in Chicago.
But like Watch Dogs did Chicago, right?
I know, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
iconic.
Not in a iconic way.
Yeah.
Go to Hawaii.
Ooh, I dig that.
All
You're
right.
just
Actually-
like running schemes in a hotel.
Yeah.
You go like island hopping. That's all right.
Hawaii in the 80s or 90s, like peak like canon films, like Hard Ticket to Hawaii sort of style shit. Like, let's do it.
I think that'd be dope.
Yeah.
Get lost in the
Like,
gold
That's like the
pineapple
only way
maze.
GTA could be funny
What-
again. I feel like
I-
the stuff they make fun of isn't funny anymore, and it's like, why not just kind of like be funny in a slightly different way that isn't like, I'm 13 and I just learned about politics sort of way.
Because I think Saints Row does that, and it's it's
Yeah.
kind of there's the GTA's stabs at satire are still very rooted in a lot of that fucking like. Let's imagine for a world in that talk radio is still a thing because people need to drive cars around a lot, and games that try to modernize it, all they really do is like, I don't know, they're podcasts now. That's like the
Podcasts.
Watch Dogs Legion solution to that, or whatever kind of.
Spider-Man.
The Hawaii thing sounds really dope just because I just remember when I was there, I was like constantly
Throw someone in a
overwhelmed.
volcano.
Yeah, well, there's that, and just overwhelmed with all the different sort of like areas, like just the strange, geography that's there, right?
Yeah.
With like you could be in a desert, a tropical rainforest,
Really? Wow.
like in the same day. Like it's just absolutely wild. When I was on Maui, like forget it. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe what
So
I was
weird.
seeing.
Yeah.
Talking about
So,
the biome.
That'd be sick. Yeah, biome. It's biome
Hawaii.
dense. Let me tell you.
Yeah, you
And
can.
Twasi says, in terms of crime, in the chat here says meth is biggest in Hawaii.
Yeah.
which I
There
was
you
about to
have
say.
it.
Awesome.
There you
There's
go.
a lot of
Them.
like weird story, not weird, but like interesting stories you could tell with like tourists, locals.
Yeah, White
businesses that
Lotus.
are
Let's
popping
White
up.
Lotus it.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Actually,
White
like,
Lotus the hell out
hire-
of that.
actually hire some Pacific Islander folks and as consultants and shit, and like actually tell interesting stories
Hearing
about
pigeon
actual real
speak
corruption
is
stuff.
wild. Because the one
I'm
I'm
homie
sorry, what?
hearing
I'm sorry,
pigeon,
what?
hearing like that speech and like that form of
Mm.
dialect,
Yes.
I can hear the words. I just completely do not understand any of them, and it's wild. It's cool.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
just give me Hawaiian shirts. Nothing but Hawaiian shirts.
Hell yeah, dude.
You just want Vice City then.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but you could get away with both. You can have your cake and eat it too with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm glad we figured this out.
Hawaii would be interesting. Hawaii would definitely be
Not bad.
interesting.
I can see it.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Sony has in the wake of acquiring Bungie, there's been kind of a run of interviews and a lot of other stuff, and as part of their investor presentation and such, which Eurogamer picked up on, Polygon did as well. Sony has said that they aim to have more than 10 live service games running by March 31st, 2026. 2026. That's a word that just came out of my mouth. What the fuck is that?
I can't even
that's the
think of this
future,
year
Yeah.
properly.
Damn.
That's a lot, though.
This is a lot. And there's also, remember that they backed Jade Raymond's new studio with some of the folks that got out of Stadia as that thing was crumbling, called Haven. So that's presumably one of them. They're working on a persistent kind of online game for PlayStation 5 and PC. So that's one. Destiny is two.
Yeah.
Probably the other game at Bungie is probably 3.
But we're like 8 years into the 10-year Destiny plan, though. Are they still gonna be around by then? By 2026?
I mean, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that they will find a way to keep Destiny going for at least the next 4 years. It might not be Destiny 2, but the Destiny IP will probably continue to exist for at least the next 4 years. That doesn't seem like a stretch to me when I put it that way. When I say 2026, I imagine like, oh, there won't be video games by then because
Let's hope.
I'll have flying cars.
yeah,
and robot servants.
I will be too busy stabbing people for water by then to play video games.
One of us is an optimist.
Yeah.
Water? What?
Yeah.
Water.
It's essential to living.
If you think about it, this is, what we talked about with them acquiring Bungie and the different type of game that Bungie makes now compared to what you think of as Sony's first party output, and how it is not really focused on multiplayer in the same way that a lot of Microsoft stuff is, or a lot of other, popular ongoing franchises. They extend out with cosmetics, they extend out with multiplayer, they extend out with a lot of different things. And Sony just has not been about that, but they are very much like, yo, we got to be about that. Which is probably smart when you just think about how video games are going. Ad news has not been necessarily well received. I think there is a continuing kind of budding backlash to the notion of games as a service and live games and all the other stuff. Despite that, ongoing video games and online multiplayer games are huge and getting huger.
Yeah.
It's not, that happened. That ship has sailed. This is the way things are now. So, I'm just curious of like, when you think about Sony's catalog, is there anything that jumps out at you that you say like, oh, this is something that I could see turning into a multi-year project or some kind of multi-year multiplayer, like universe, world, whatever you want to call it. Like,
Has Gran Turismo been like has there been like a big multiplayer component to Gran Turismo in the past?
You can play it multiplayer, and they have had an esports presence with that game for sure. GT Sport definitely had a multiplayer focus to it.
When I think of Gran Turismo, I just think of people just being super granular with the car parts and just trying to make it as simmy as possible. I can't imagine people taking it.
But you could very much say like, hey, we're doing 5 years of car updates, and like that would qualify at that point. If they're like, hey, we're going to continue to add new tracks and new cars and new stuff to this game for the next X number of years, rather than putting out GT7 and saying like, all right, that's out, and now we're going to spend the next 12 years working on Gran Turismo 8. See you soon. They've got an announcement, I think that hitting tomorrow-ish. There was some part of that GT presentation that they did where they talked about like, hey, there's this big AI project we're working on. But it seemed to be in context of Gran Turismo, which makes me wonder if they have just reinvented Drivatars somehow, or something. We'll see what that ends up being. But
also they dip their toes in, like Uncharted.
Uncharted has had multiplayer. Last of Us has had multiplayer. There's still a lot of people out there assuming that Last of Us 2 will either get multiplayer or there will be some kind of standalone Last of Us product.
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they could
Yep.
expand upon that for sure.
Yeah.
You could, like, yeah, if you look at what that game's multiplayer is, that kind of co-op style thing,
Yeah.
you could drop that type of gameplay into a Destiny style of game.
Yeah.
I was gonna say relatively easily. Obviously, it would take years of
Right.
work, but you know, like you can see it in your head, like, oh yeah, you could take that and blow that out into all this different types of content and all this different types of stuff, open world, this and different areas and different dungeons and what have you. Like, yeah, you could do that for sure.
I had some friends that got weirdly super into the Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer. Just like
it was good. It was cool. I didn't feel like super. I didn't get very dedicated to it, but like the 2 or 3 missions I ran, the handful of missions that I ran, I was like, this is well designed for a free multiplayer add-on for a game you didn't expect to get that at all. Like it was all right.
Yeah.
It felt like a good test. And like now that we're talking about it, it actually felt like a pretty good test for like, hey, we could do this for real someday.
Yeah, with several other types of different games. Yeah, that one was surprising in particular, I think, because it's such a single player focused narrative and game.
Yeah,
it's like, how do you do fucking multiplayer with this? It was cool. They did it.
Does Dreams count as a live service game? If that's like
I guess
mostly like community
Because
supported?
technically, yeah.
I mean,
Sony
you know,
reinvest in
presumably they're
Dreams?
patching it, or they could continue to patch and update the tools and add new things to it. There could be a PS5 sequel to it or something like that. There's stuff they could do. They could still do with Dreams. So yeah, I mean that could be one of your 10 for sure. You know, it's like, do they try and do something like that? There's also the talk swirling about Twisted Metal coming back. Like, I that Twisted Metal to me has always felt like a one and done, or like a, hey, maybe you get an expansion pack with some new maps and a couple new characters or something like that. But it's not going to be some big ongoing thing. But I get you could try. I don't know.
Yeah. Sony and Street Fighter are pretty tight. So,
is there multiplayer in Hitman?
In Hitman 2, there was a multiplayer mode.
It's experimental in a way that you're like, it's cool that they tried it, but it's not
feasible actually.
Yeah. It's not as fun as like the mode that they made is just kind of a little goofy.
Yeah.
Not in the way that you want Hitman to be goofy per se. It's just kind of like, this is, I see
that game's
the
not
rules
goofy
out
at
here,
all.
but it's not.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
It's very
serious.
serious. And you know, of course, you know, we can sit here and talk about old IPs all we want, but you know, presumably new stuff will also be invented along the way. But they did it. There was a multiplayer God of War game at one point, wasn't there?
What?
yeah, there was. There
Yeah.
absolutely was. And holy shit, did that fucking die quickly?
Yeah, totally.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I barely remember that. Good Lord.
What was this on?
Yeah, well, I am not picturing
Was
it.
that PS3? Or was
Sure.
it like PSP first and then PSP? No,
God of War
What was
Ascension.
it?
Console.
yeah, Ascension was multiplayer,
Oh,
right?
Wasn't that? Was that the Vita one?
Maybe it.
Oh.
Okay, Ascension was multiplayer. It came out in 2013, so that's PS3.
Huh.
Yeah. They
Don't
did that.
remember this at all.
Yeah.
I remember playing that game. I don't remember the multiplayer.
Yeah, I remember it being a weird thing that they announced at the time, and they were like, "Yeah, we're doing multiplayer," and being like, "What is it?" It was like, "Is it for Kratoses? What are we doing?"
Yeah, like, and
Why?
they just have like different like colored waist bandages or something,
Tattoos are different.
like Ninja Turtleification of it.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be long before they try to do something else with God of War at some point here. And obviously, they're working on
Right.
the thing, but you know, let's
Huh.
see here. Yeah, you know,
God
there's
damn.
you could dip into. You know, they also say they're not done acquiring folks, so there's other studios that could come into the mix and bring expertise in different IPs and stuff like that that might make more sense.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Uncharted. You know, what is that? Like Treasure Hunter World. we're all out here shooting each other in the goddamn face to steal stuff. Like, I guess, yeah,
All of
you
our
could.
shirts
I
are
don't know.
kind of tucked
That's
in.
the division. So maybe that, I don't know. That's all the division is.
Please bring back SOCOM.
Oh, no, I don't know.
That's me looking back with rose tinted glasses. I know, I acknowledge that, but bring it back.
I need a Bluetooth headset or I'm not playing.
Yeah, it's no, you just
No.
yeah. But like, okay, but is there now a window into that? Because if you imagine a world that in 3 years or so there's no more Call of Duty on PlayStation, let's say, you know, they work out their contract, the next two main, like we said, the current deal according to Bloomberg is that they get the next two mainline Call of Duty games. So that's this year, next year, and then a Warzone sequel. And then after that, what if there's no more Call of Duty? Battlefield is hit the fucking skids. They pushed back their scoreboard update again. You know, like maybe that gets back on track, maybe it doesn't. At some point, there's room for a multiplayer shooter on PlayStation platforms in a way that there kind of wasn't before. But not SOCOM. Come on. I mean, it's not, you know, like I loved SOCOM 1 and 2, amazing video games, but as I've said, and I'll say again, it's a time and a place thing.
Yep.
That ship has fucking sailed.
Oh yeah.
You can't
But
get it back
like
because they
future
kept because they
SOCOM?
okay, future SOCOM. All right.
It lasers
now,
and stuff.
Now I'm on board. That's just Killzone at some point.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, Killzone could come back. I think.
I wouldn't mind seeing another Killzone. Like those games were all right. That the one that came with on that was out at launch on PlayStation 4, Shadow Hawk or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah,
it was okay. It was okay.
All right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Killzone 2
really fucking good.
and 3, Rico, that motherfucker. Still, one of these days, I want to cut Rico's throat. I want to kill.
Oh my God.
kill Rico. I want to kill Rico.
Luminous
I'm gonna
isn't
kill Rico.
a Sony exclusive IP, right?
It is not. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. There's maybe they end up getting one of these Platinum games. Platinum.
Oh boy.
There was a Famitsu interview with Atsushi Inaba, who's their new CEO. He's one of the co-founders. He's been there a long time. And in that interview, according to this Video Games Chronicle recap of the Famitsu story, he seems to be talking about a more of a focus on live service games, which is, you know, that's not what Platinum's been making.
Right.
They've been making Jason games in the classic sense.
Hell yes.
For a very long time. Even B tier Platinum. We talk about Techland and A team and Techland B team, but I feel like there's a Platinum A and Platinum B.
Yep.
As well. Basically the idea is like, you know, trying to create more games that can be enjoyed and loved for a longer period of time is the quote, compared to those in which players experience one-off content, such as in Bayonetta, is the Video Games Chronicle way of putting that. And so people are taking that to mean like, oh, if you want to have that, you know, bigger, longer period of time, all that other stuff, like you're describing a game with built-in replayability and all that sort of stuff, at some point you're describing a live service game.
Yep.
Also went on to say that Kamiya's current game, Project GG, was mentioned specifically as you know, a desire to create a game that is different from the past. So it seems like Platinum's really trying to branch out, which I think, honestly, like as much as that direction might not be exciting to people, Platinum probably needs to do more than just make the games that Platinum has been making, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Step out of that comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah. I guess. Oh man, it's such a
101
fucking.
is so cool.
It's a niche fucking company that I
Yeah.
love so much. Jesus.
Yeah.
But yeah, there definitely have been, like you mentioned, the kind of tiered.
Yeah, there's like Platinum has made some amazing video games and some video games that you look at and go like, oh, this is like the
B teen.
The-
I
this is-
hate using that term. But
Yeah, no, I don't, I haven't looked at the credits. It might even be the same people for all we know, but there's definitely like, there have been platinum games where you're like, oh, I see where this is a platinum game. It's just a very bad one. Or it's not the one that feels like it's getting, it's not Metal Gear Rising. It's not, like getting the full oomph of a Bayonetta, or something like that. It's like, here's what like Legend of Korra was them, right?
Yep.
damn it, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
All
Yeah.
right.
That fucking
You-
Ninja
you
Turtles
do
game.
God.
Yeah.
You do not fucking bring that shit up.
That was
Yeah.
also them.
ever again.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And Project GG, hopefully it'll be different. I think it's bold to make like a stylish hard action game out of the life of GG Allen, but like, hey,
Oh wow. It's not the GG I was thinking of, but sure.
Thought it was my aunt.
Oh,
Project
Todd
GG
Phillips-
is a
Todd Phillips did
superhero
that
game
anyway.
that is actually meant to be the final chapter in kind of the what they're calling a trilogy of games with Beautiful Joe, Wonderful 101, and then Project GG, where you play as like a giant superhero of some kind.
Okay.
Ears
So-
perked up real hard at Beautiful Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I am hoping that giant superhero does smear poop over his chest to gain power.
You've seen that Todd Phillips documentary, right?
Is that hated?
I don't know.
I've seen a GG Allen documentary. I don't know if there are multiple
Probably
ones,
the one.
but
Yes,
yes.
the director of Old School and whatever else. Road Trip. Did he do Road? He probably did Road Trip. He made a GG Allen documentary. I think it's the same one we're talking about,
yeah.
and it is like the most horrifying shit.
When I was working for a magazine at the time, and we got a bunch of videotapes, a bunch of VHS tapes in the mail from
Oh, no.
Film Threat. The magazine had
yeah.
decided to also publish
Yeah.
some tapes.
Film Threat.
Film Threat.
Yeah.
Chris
Okay.
Gore's Film Threat, and one of them was hated. One of them was a copy of the GG Allen documentary. And I, me being 19 and not really knowing who the fuck GG Allen was.
Yeah, it's the same one. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
one.
Real eye opener.
Real eye opener.
Real eye
Like,
opener.
probably saw that a little too young, also. And
Mhm.
19.
There's also a Jim Van Beber classic called My Sweet Satan in that stack of tapes. There was this is when I was in a band and I brought all these tapes over to band practice, and we decided after band practice, we're going to watch this GG Allen documentary. And some people were not into it.
yeah, it's an acquired. I don't want to say the word taste,
Go ahead.
but it's an acquired.
And I'll say the thing that the conversation I had at the time when those tapes showed up is I worked with someone who, and maybe this is him fucking pulling my fucking leg, because obviously GG Allen's demise, there was a little bit of controversy around it.
Yeah.
But he worked for Thrasher magazine at the time and claimed that GG's management contacted them to say that GG Allen had passed away so that it could make the cutoff for the next issue of the magazine. But his claim is that they called, the timeline doesn't line up, that they called before he had actually passed away.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Where's
GG Allen's
the
still alive.
documentary about that, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
GG Allen's still
Yeah.
alive is what I'm saying. He's out
Yeah.
there. He's
Huh.
living in Merle's basement.
My God.
Anyway,
You know what I would want to see Platinum do? I want them
Hmm.
to get the Let It Die license and use
Yeah.
that as their.
Ooh.
Oh, that's interesting.
That would.
Alright.
Oh, that. They
like
vibe.
a
together.
Platinum and Grasshopper team up, I think
Yep.
would
Yeah.
That would vibe.
would go a
It
long
seems
way.
like Destiny, right? I mean,
Yeah. That'd be
Yeah, a No More Heroes game with the combat
yeah.
spruced up by Platinum
That would
would be.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I feel like that would solve every problem anyone has had with a No More Heroes game.
Yeah, right?
You know?
Maybe.
In my
Maybe.
head, for the longest time, I thought they were the same.
yeah. No,
well,
it's-
there you go. The hard part's done.
There you go.
Uncle Death and Travis Touchdown, I feel like would be a
Together
potent
at last.
combo.
Yeah.
He would just
Zip.
fit in the Beautiful Joe costume, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
probably
yeah. I always
He
thought
is-
Beautiful Joe was like an inch tall.
Oh,
but
yeah. It would be
He is.
ill-fitted for sure.
Yeah.
But it would fit in the universe.
Spirit. Yeah.
Yeah.
His fashion sense is
I could see it
goofy. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Remember 1-2 Switch?
Oh, do
You're
I? 1-2 Switch was like the only game that we saw. Remember at that New York thing we were at many
Yeah.
years ago?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
I was just like, no. Like it was the only thing that was not impressive. I remember.
I remember me and Dan
Yep.
playing 1-2 switch in a glass box because
Yep.
they had, you know,
Oh my
had
God.
built at the event. They had built all these little pods to demo the different games.
Did you do the milking one?
Yeah,
with him?
yeah, we did
Oh,
the
yeah.
milking game and all this other stuff, and it was fun exactly once.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
They should have called it 1 switch. And it was the game that a lot of people looked to say, like, here it is, this is the Wii Sports of it, because it was like also like the only game to really use the HD rumble stuff where you're like, I'm rolling around balls in a box and it
Yeah.
feels like the balls are rolling.
There's
Man,
like
I've
4
got
balls
balls
in
in
that
my
box.
hand. Yeah. And that just seemed like it worked, and then no one thought of it ever again.
Okay.
Zippo,
The lighter?
everyone's
lighters.
favorite well, I don't know, Video Games Chronicle has a report here that someone named Zippo, who is thought of as a leaker of Nintendo related things. There have been a handful of other corroborating things from some of the other, there's like a handful of folks that are just thought of out there on Twitter as like credible Nintendo leakers.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, a lot of them were also saying that there would be a 4K Switch by now, but you know, fucking shit happens. What are you gonna do? So Zippo has a blog, and Zippo is claiming that there's a sequel to 1-2 Switch coming. Which
Okay.
normally this stuff is like kind of like the leaker territory, the uncorroborated leak stuff is not something I like want to get into all the time, but I just think the concept that like Nintendo would make a sequel to 1-2 Switch is 2 things. 1, a mind-blowingly bad idea. 2, of course they would do it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's just too perfect.
There's so many people that own I'm blanking out on the name.
The Switch
yeah,
Lite.
the Switch Lite.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
could not
Oh, shit.
play anything on 1-2 Switch potentially.
Right. Yeah. So you would have to make a sequel, or you wouldn't have to, but you know, you would probably make a sequel that would then be able to be played without removable
Sure.
Joy-Cons. Which what is that game
Oh,
even?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And I don't know. Like even without that like caveat in place, the very idea of a 1-2-3 Switch, whatever you want to call it.
Maybe it involves the not Wii Fit, the Switch. My brain isn't working today. The fitness game, the ring thing.
Oh, the Ring.
Ring Fit.
Ring Fit. Sorry, yeah, because
Hmm.
like that
That's the
sold a
opposite
bunch.
problem.
Yeah,
did it?
there's a lot of those laying around in houses right now.
Mine, yeah, somewhere.
But not as many of this there are just straight up Switches.
Totally,
you know,
yeah.
like I think if you're making a game like I kind of feel like the time to make anything for that Ring is past.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
It's so covered in dust that I don't even want to touch it. It's just gross.
I never unboxed my Ring Fit adventure. I bought one when they were just before they were getting hard to find, just
Yeah.
like when we were working from home and pandemic was just getting started.
Yep.
And I was like, this looks like super fun. I really want to get into this. And then as life happened, I don't know.
Spoiler alert. Exercise is simply not fun no matter what you do with it.
Untrue.
Dance
I
Dance
tried
Revolution is fun.
so hard. I tried so hard. In the end, I was just like, man, this all hurts though.
Yeah.
Exercise, you know, it's gotta hurt. That's how you know it's working.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bad. I
You
don't
do-
like
feel the
hurting.
burn, I think is
It's
what
no
they
fun
say.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So fun.
what was the goddamn, what was the there was another game that people were talking about on Switch that was basically the answer to everyone's like the dearth of an actual Wii Sports and the huge swing and a miss that was 1-2 Switch. It was some sort of like collection of mini games. Was it like
Snipper
Clubhouse?
Clips?
Nope, not
Oh,
Snipper
Clubhouse
Clips.
games.
Clubhouse games.
Yeah.
Like I got a lot of
Oh, okay.
people mentioning that. I think the last time, after Thanksgiving when I brought up the newfound interest in the
Yeah.
original Wii Sports.
Yeah, no, Clubhouse games is good. It's like card games and board games and all this other stuff, and it's
Shitload of
great.
games in it, yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of games on it. They've done That game was on, I think, DS originally. And yes, Clubhouse Games is rad, but it's not a showcase of the system the way Wii Sports was and the way 1-2 Switch kind of tried to be as well. So I don't know that it's a perfect fit, but yeah, no, Clubhouse Games is great. You should get Clubhouse Games if you don't have it.
I think I might have to.
Yeah.
I remember, that was the big sort of difference, right? Like Wii Sports, I mean, again, the lightning in the bottleness of that whole thing of like, this is the perfect way to demonstrate the whole thing. Obviously, that's what they were going for with 1-2 Switch. It seemed like just a vessel, just a mechanism to show off like a cool, the only vibration that is impressive with the Switch is that they figured out how to make it feel like ice cubes falling in a cup.
Yep.
Like that to me was the only thing, like dice in a cup, any sort of thing in a cup where you're just like, well, fuck yeah, that's actually kind of interesting and impressive.
And then no one ever used it again.
And that's it. Right.
Yeah.
So
they never, I mean, I'm not, obviously games do vibrate, but not in a nuanced, meaningful way.
Totally.
Yeah. It kind of just came and went. There's a Nintendo Direct happening tomorrow. We are going to talk over it, 2 p.m. Pacific time. And hey, we'll see if a fucking sequel to 1-2 Switch just magically shows up. That's not part of Zippo's leak claiming that it is announcing soon or anything like that. I don't want to pin that on Zippo.
Yeah, no, don't pin that on Zippo.
I will not pin that on Zippo.
You can't hang with that heat.
I will not bring that heat to Zippo. But hey, maybe it turns up there tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah, they're saying roughly 40 minutes of game stuff for the first half of this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what they have on the books. Like what has already been announced for that time frame. I don't know. I have no idea. Because like Splatoon 3 is not necessarily in that window, right? That's holiday, I thought. I don't know. Who can say?
I mean, you're gonna get your Kirby stuff. That's
Kirby,
for sure.
right? Of course, fucking Kirby. Yes.
Kirby. Yeah, we're gonna fuck Kirby, and I don't know.
Kirby.
Is Bayonetta 3 gonna magically like?
Do you think Bayonetta 3 is a first half of the year kind of game?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think so.
I don't know. I'm gonna say no.
Triangle strategy.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me some tiles.
Yeah. We'll tile up.
And maybe that Advance Wars 1 and 2.
Right. Finally commit to a date on that. Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, maybe we don't have to talk over this. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe they have some. It might just be. I was thinking maybe some updates for Pokemon Legends Arceus or Pokemon Unite. But that might be in an isolated Pokemon Direct.
Yeah, hopefully they would keep that sectioned off and not expose that stuff to the general audience.
Man.
When do you think we get to hear Chris Pratt's Mario voice?
What if that's all tomorrow is?
Yeah. What if it's like, oh, by the way, one last thing. Here's the trailer for the movie.
And he's Birdo.
And he's Birdo.
I don't know if we can handle that kind of content, you guys. I don't think we're prepared.
I'm prepared to fling my headphones off and run screaming out into the street.
I think my computers are burning.
Yeah. Like, whoops, stream died. Oh, well.
Oh, man. If you haven't seen, I mean, I know, Jess, you parodied it. Is that how you say that word? The whole Chris Pratt, like, confessional fucking.
Oh, yes.
Like, I watched that again recently, and my jaw was once again dropped to the floor of just watching that dude.
What is this story?
Talk about this fucking maniacal tale that never fucking happened.
That totally never happened. God.
Did not happen. He's a terrible actor. If he can't convince me that happened in an Instagram post, how good can he be as an actor? Can he really bring Mario to life?
Well,
Doubts.
yeah, I mean,
I liked early Chris.
He didn't write, he didn't write Mario. Someone else wrote that for him. So maybe he's believable at acting that out. But
an actor, you need to be able to translate a story into feelings.
Yeah.
And realness. And that batshit story was the most fakest, not realist thing I've heard.
It was pretty fucking ridiculous.
What if they just lean on everyone else? What if they're like cutting that movie?
What if Mario's barely a character? What if he's just barely
all on
in
Charlie Day's shoulders?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be great if all Chris Pratt did is just say like, "Let's go." Here we go. Woo! You know, and just like
It's about
and
Luigi
Charlie Day
saving
did the heavy
day.
lifting as Luigi.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm alright with that.
Yeah, that would be way more.
Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
Sure.
I thought
We'll
you
talk
made
over
up.
that direct tomorrow, and we'll I'm sure we'll all be completely elated by everything that gets announced.
Can't wait.
Here's a report from Business Insider, again, liberated by Video Games Chronicle, that Google has deprioritized Stadia in favor of like enterprise sales of their streaming tech instead of a consumer-facing product. This again feels like one of those things where you're like, yeah.
Yeah, of course. This like it wasn't their intention the entire time.
Or, I mean, certainly as soon as they put it out and they were like, oh, this is not at
hard.
all how people want to buy games. This
I'm
isn't.
trying to make Stadia happen.
Yeah.
Quit.
It is still
Go
happening.
away.
I
Yeah.
logged into my Stadia. I did not play a video game, but I did log into Stadia the other day.
That's kind of what I do too. I kind of just like check back in on it to see if it's there,
Yeah.
but then I don't really do anything. with
I
it.
started it and I was like, oh, I have to open Chrome for that. Do I have Chrome installed? I was like, yeah, okay, all right, all right, yeah. And then saw a friends list and then went like, all right, I'm good. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is wild though, because like if you have a lot of Chromecast shit in your house,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of just bring the controller wherever you go, and it works, and it's
Yeah, the tech
completely
is
it's
yeah,
good. The
it's
tech is
solid, man.
good, and I think it's. I mean, I haven't done a side by side of like Stadia and Xbox Cloud stuff recently, but like,
It seemed like it was on par. I feel like there have been
Yeah.
times, you know, in the past where I had better experiences with Stadia and times where I had better
Sure.
experiences with xCloud. And I just
Same.
wonder if it's a network conditions thing or what the hell the deal is there.
It's
But it just
gotta
feels like at random. Like I said, that the most recent time I tried the Xbox Cloud stuff was with Windjammers 2,
Mhm.
which was a terrible time.
Yeah.
And I've had the exact opposite experience. Like every time I've tried it, it's felt really good. But I didn't try Windjammers to be.
Yeah, I mean it's such a
completely
timing
transparent. Yeah.
focused game. It's just like, you know, it's probably never going to be ideal here. Anyway, the story here is that Google has shifted its focus of the Stadia division to try to go out and do deals with partners. And the Business Insider story says some of those partners they're attempting to approach are Peloton, the bike
Ooh.
people,
Okay.
the exercise
What?
bike people. They make, you know, with the screens on it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as if you can't just
Oh,
prop an iPad on
oh.
a.
Yeah. Okay.
And Peloton
well,
is
they've got
falling
all
off a
this-
cliff right now. That's a disaster of a company from the
It-
sounds of things. So
They've got all these biking influencers on its own proprietary app system.
mhm.
That being said, still love Alex Toussaint. Love that guy.
Oh, he was probably my favorite.
That being said, you still cannot trick me into working out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really enjoy the bike.
Sometimes I think about getting some kind of exercise bike like thing for this room, and then what if I just rode it while I played video games? I'm just sitting here.
Yeah,
There's
but
no
you're not
reason why I
gonna-
couldn't.
You're not gonna do it.
That's not look, it's not a bad idea. It's also not a new one, and I feel like
No,
they've
yeah.
tried that before. And for whatever reason, like it just doesn't take off in a meaningful way, even if you like gamify your exercising, right? Like where you like literally attach mechanics to how well you are working out. Like it
Right.
just there's some loss of signal there where those two things just aren't connecting in a meaningful way.
For me,
I
it's the
think
distraction.
unless-
For me, it's the thing I want to be
Yeah.
like meaningfully distracted. Like when I was doing probably my most like in-home exercising, not like going out for walks or whatever. It was when I was watching the most television. When, you know, wrestling was on a bit of an upswing, and so it was just like, all right, there's enough wrestling on every night that I could fit in, you know, an hour of whatever, and the time would just melt away because I was sitting there staring at that dumb shit. And I could, you know, I don't know, lift weights or fucking
Visual
run,
novel
whatever the fuck I
game
was doing.
where the text only advances as you are walking on a treadmill.
Yeah. They made an exercise bike controller for, I believe, the Atari 2600 that was basically like an auto fire controller, and the faster you pedaled, the faster it hit the button.
What?
Okay.
Never
okay.
heard of this.
And there was like a driving game they made with it, but like that was, and I believe the handlebars would be like a left and right the joystick or something like that. And
I think
yeah,
I need like Beat Saber or something. I've only dabbled a little bit in Beat Saber, and it was the PSVR version, which like you're kind of trapped in that one because you have to progress, and I can't beat this one level where you have to move like not at all. You just hold your hands this close to your chest and try to just only do wrist movements, which is A, not fun,
Weird.
B, too hard, C, I want to just play the fucking songs. I don't care about progressing. And like there's only so many times I can hear this one same song over and over and over again while I don't progress. And it's like where is, and it turns out like the version of Beat Saber I wanted is the PC version. The PC version lets you do custom songs and all this fucking shit. And it's like, great, why did I buy this?
that's why I got into like VR stuff like that. Like there's stuff like soundboxing and Audio Shield where you can bring your own music and it will generate levels out of it. Or soundboxing, I believe people make note highways based on YouTube videos. And so that worked out a lot better for me than Beat Saber, which was very flashy, but like I just didn't like any of the music. I mean, obviously they've put a ton of DLC into it since then, so it's kind of a different story, but like Beat Saber to me just felt like a knockoff of those other better games that somehow caught on. But yeah, I don't know. There's Capcom and Bungie are the other two companies mentioned in this report. You could see a world where Bungie says like, hey, what if you could play Destiny no matter where you are? And they do their own streaming service for it. I guess that would be the pitch. I wouldn't, especially now that they're owned by Sony, I would not do that. That's crazy.
Yep.
You don't need it. I feel like this streaming stuff, Stadia, especially because it's only a streaming thing, but the Xbox stuff as well. Like, I feel like all the wind got stolen out of those sails by Apple's refusal to play ball.
Yeah.
You know, like that tech was ready a long time ago, and Apple was just like, yeah, cool, no. Yeah, go play on your Android phone. Have fun, dummy.
Hey.
And then people were like, oh, man. And I guess you can play that stuff in Safari in the browser now, right? That stuff is happened or is happening. I guess I should know that, but I don't. But yeah, I don't know. Like that stuff just never felt like it was actually ready. And Google being one that was saying like this, and I guess Amazon technically also just being like, no, this is only a streaming service. There is no hybrid model the way the Xbox version worked. It was just like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Speaking of no thanks, let's talk about the Amico.
Oh boy.
Oh,
You
thank
say
you.
that word and I'm instantly transported back to June of 2021 where
That was their last big
there.
Yeah. So again, thanks to Video Games Chronicle for putting on. I've been dodging a lot of Amico stories. There's been a lot of little bits and pieces and little floaters and stuff over the last handful of months here. About this is the new Intellivision console. If you're not familiar, this is they're trying to make a family friendly console for not a lot of money and all this other stuff. And the road to release has just been a real disaster from the looks of things.
Yeah.
Last week or so has been another week of people digging into various aspects around the Amico, but there's also news where Tommy Tallarico, who had been the CEO of the company,
Tommy Talamico, thank you very much.
yes, sorry, Tommy Tallarico.
No.
I don't like that at all. He is no longer the CEO of the company. He is there in a creative type of role, and he's still the largest shareholder. Phil Adam, who has been there for a while as well, is now the new CEO. There was a recent interview with him where he talked a lot about that maybe the price of the Amico might go up. They had been touting a discount, like, hey, we're maybe going to get this thing out for like $250, something like that. He's saying like, this might have to go up, and also maybe some games may have to raise in price. They had been like,
Jesus.
Games will be $10. That's it. And now it's like, no, some may be more. And so that's kind of the business bit of it. But they're also doing another round of like crowdfunding investment type one of these crowdfunding platforms that's also like, and you're also an investor.
This sounds like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah. I mean, except that I don't see how people get any money out of it because the console has to ship first, and they have to make good on all the other loans that they've taken out. People have been kind of digging into the books because there had to be some of those numbers had to be kind of disclosed as part of this round of crowdfunding. And there was part of that as more and more people pulled it apart, they were like, hey, this company maybe has like $400,000 in change in the bank. Wow. And they're probably gonna have to do another round of funding after the one that they're currently doing. And like just the hey, what's your profitability been over this last year? Which granted they have not been selling products or anything like that, but still have been losing money on top of that. And then you take into account all of the talk about the power of that console being relative to like a 2016 Android phone, as different people have pulled apart some of the specs and stuff they've given to developers or just given to the public via their developer portal. The game stuff hasn't really firmed up. All the most they've had over the last handful of months has been like they've been going to locations and saying like, if you come to this mall, you can play the Amico, and then putting out videos that seem very carefully edited. I believe one of the people in the videos is in fact an investor on the console. If I was reading that properly. So there's just a lot of stuff going on around the Amico.
I want to see that video as a video editor. That's my manna from heaven to see a really heavily edited video that's trying to avoid like somebody saying something not kind or something like that.
I don't know that it's not necessarily that. It's more that like the people that they put on camera seem very ready to say the things that they're about to say, and not necessarily. I don't know. Maybe it's fine.
In the video, or their money is involved in the project.
And there's just an Amico defense force of sorts has emerged somehow of
the country Amico,
and that are like, I can't believe all these people out there. Like Tommy Tallarico, I believe at one point said people that don't like the Amico are being gaming racists. There's a lot here.
That
reminds me of the defenders of that Atari thing you had.
Oh, the VCS thing? Yeah. Probably the same people.
We dug deep into those forums where people were just like, here's what you'll need. Like I remember seeing a forum post that was just like, here's the things you need to fix this.
Yeah.
And it was like a checklist of household items. And I'm just, God, you got to pick your battles, folks.
Yeah.
This seems like a losing one.
It does. I wonder if this thing will ever ship.
Right.
Will they make good on the debts that they're picking up along the way? They're going to, how much money out of each Amico console are they going to have to give to some of these investors, some of the people that have given them money? Like what's the math just doesn't, people smarter than me that have been digging into the math of like what it would cost to develop a game and what you might get back out of those sales and all the other stuff have been not finding a lot of incentive to develop for the Amico there. And so
one more question: how many more minutes until Tallarico announces NFTs for this thing?
It's not, so that's it. It would be.
It's just like it's so grifty that NFTs are gonna have to crash into this.
I believe at some point he did have to kind of come out and say no, because people thought he did say that at one point, but I think he was confused and was referring to all of the games being NFC. Cards, because stop
it. Now it's a Curb episode because
kind of it's and so think about that for a minute. It's the whole one of their whole pitches is just like, it's games the way they used to be. And their physical boxes just come with cards that you hold onto the console to scan in so that it can download a game. It's not physical. It's not a physical video game. The people that are like the weird old men that are weirder and in some cases older than I am, that are like, back in my day, you put the game in the console and turned it on and it worked. Like they're not even getting that out of this. It's just, I don't know. Like it's a very there's probably some like Vice article to be written like inside the mind of a fucking Amico enthusiast, especially pre-launch like this. Like, what is the mindset there? And
breaking news from Kotaku: Intellivision is selling NFT games for a console that ain't even out yet. It's for the Amico.
so yeah, like I said, a lot of people.
Nostradamus ass bitch over here saying how many minutes until this happens.
Well,
That's from October of last year.
So
October
again,
of last year.
That's when all that happened, and I think that all got backpedaled. I'm not sure that is actually the case. I
the
think
chat
that
was asking like it just happened.
yeah, that is something. It could very well be the case. We will see, but I believe that was something that got walked back as like someone misspoke.
I love that. Like, no, you misheard us.
It's RFID thing. It's NFC.
Yeah.
It's NFC.
We understand. They sound the same.
So we will see what ends up being true or not in that case. But yeah, in a last ditch effort to try to get like, some additional audience of people excited about this thing, some kind of fucking blockchain pivot I could see absolutely happening.
As a last ditch effort.
Blockchain pivot.
I believe the developers of Toe Jam and Earl, who had initially been announced as working on an Amico game, I believe they recently said like, oh, we're super not doing that anymore. So, you have announced games that are not happening. Like, there's just a lot of, I don't know. There's so much fucking crazy shit around this thing. It's really something else, and it's one of those things that like every month there's like another thing that you hear. You're just like, Jesus Christ, what the hell? But it just the CEO swap and all this other stuff I think made it happen enough this week that it was worth talking about. But God, I just don't want to fucking talk about it. Like I hope it comes out and I hope it's awesome. At the end of the day. Sure. It's the core idea of let's make a family friendly console with a screen on it and some of this other stuff. Like I would like to see that. I think it has like a big chance in the marketplace. I don't think it does, but I don't know. We'll see what that thing ends up being. It probably, who knows? By the time they're done, all those games probably will be NFTs. Why wouldn't they be? Again, because like that's one more crowd of fucking lunatics that you could get excited about that platform.
Yeah.
And
they would
as you're desperately clinging for like, where can we get money to get this project done? Where can we find some kind of funding anywhere? Like that would do it.
Yep.
It came up in the emails, but like while we're on this topic, did you see the Star Citizen news that they had taken their product roadmap and thrown it away?
No.
Oh God.
That they had a roadmap of like when things were going to be done and all this other stuff. And I guess they recently just said like, hey, fuck all that. And I get it because people were holding them to it.
Yeah.
And game development is a fluid, weird thing. Like forget about the Star Citizen, forget about the years of fucking grift and whatever the fuck else Star Citizen is, but just like in a normal world of like game development and COVID and all this other stuff, everything gets pushed back, everything gets crazy. Like putting out a fucking roadmap is just a fucking advertisement for just like, well, we're gonna have to apologize for this shit later.
Yeah.
When it gets pushed back 6 months, like the Battlefield roadmap or anything else. So like in a world where the audience does not understand that like these plans can be fluid and video game development can be a very fluid thing, and that's why graphics change between preview videos and release. If they can't even wrap their minds around that, you can't trust them with a roadmap either. So like on that level, I get it. On the Star Citizen level, though.
How much money have people spent on Star Citizen?
Don't ask these questions, Jen.
So many millions.
You don't want to know the answer.
So many millions.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Is
Star
this
Citizen,
how crypto got made?
Yes.
Maybe.
Satoshi
Isn't crypto
made
in that game
Bitcoin
by
and
now?
then made Star Citizen.
They followed the same model. I mean,
Yeah. Star Citizen seems like another thing that at some point when like as the money starts to dry up, or if it shows signs of like the audience going like, wait a minute, I'm starting to think this game is never gonna come out. They're gonna hit that switch too, right? They're gonna be like, every ship's an NFT. If you blow it up, we delete it off the blockchain. You know, like they are definitely going to fucking bilk that crowd too, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing that they're not already.
Any minute now.
Yeah. Star Citizen and the blockchain are that's a fucking match made in hell right there.
Just like Platinum and Grasshopper.
Exactly. Exactly. That has to happen. That will happen. I'm going to say
they do seem destined to meet in a way that no other two things are.
Yeah.
I hope they
the
don't
only
kiss.
thing that prevents it from happening is if Star Citizen just has enough money to where they don't have to do it. And by the time they do feel they have to do it, that maybe the NFT shit has fucking been snuffed out. And it's not as a lucrative an option for them as it might have seemed.
NFTs do seem like this out of control forest fire that we're like trying to contain.
Yeah.
You know, we're just sort of like,
yeah, there's definitely like still fuck this
like,
shit.
Everyone's sort of like, can we contain it a little more?
This is still a fucking bad idea. You people are still all trying to sucker people into your fucking thing so you can sucker money out of them. Like, this is still a fucking ripoff. Fuck them. MAME, the multiple arcade machine emulator, is 25 years old.
Happy birthday!
Finally rent the car.
Yeah. The first release of MAME was released on February 5th, 1997. It grew out of an emulator called Multipack that was just emulating a small handful of Pac-Man hardware-based games. And then when MAME 0.1 came out, it supported Pac-Man, a bootleg version of Ms. Pac-Man, Crush Roller, Pengo, and Ladybug.
Pengo.
Ladybug.
I love Pengo and Ladybug. Those are absolute classics. MAME is incredible. It plays tens of thousands of games now because they rolled together a bunch of console emulation projects into it that had previously been a fork of MAME called Mess. And MAME is a mess. Absolutely. But it's done so much for documenting hardware, and I'm sure plenty of people working on commercial emulation projects have peeked at the MAME source code and some of the documentation that has appeared there. And people writing Mr. Cores have definitely looked at like, well, what does MAME do here? And like, what is that right? And in some cases, that development has led to them correcting incorrect behavior in MAME and all this other stuff. And it's just awesome. They still release every month unless they're late, but there's still a new MAME that comes out every month, and that thing fucking emulates drum machines now. I don't think it's like complete and finished, but like I think there's a fucking 808 emulator being worked on in there. Like, it's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. But the real history will come tomorrow on February 9th, which is when the second release of MAME came out. MAME 0.2 added support for a little game called Mr. Do. That's right.
That's when it all went downhill.
Tomorrow will be the 25th anniversary, as I understand it, of Mr. Do being playable on a personal computer.
Gross.
The arcade original. And wow.
The
only word is wow. Yeah. and Crazy Kong. Not real Donkey Kong, the weird knockoff bootleg Crazy Kong. Yeah. Wild.
Also, the anniversary of my release is on Friday.
Well, there
Friday.
You and MAME. Do you also run Mr. Do?
I could.
Great.
Please don't.
I tried really
Oh
hard.
gosh.
It's a classic.
It's awful.
It's a classic video game. It's the guy who makes made the best of video. I know he's a massive Mr. Do fan.
Big into Mr.
It all checks out.
Yeah, that guy is Mr. Do as far as I can tell.
Well, then he's not going to last long here.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. That's going to do it for the news. Because there's a lot of it. Why don't we take another break? We'll come back, do some emails. Stay tuned. episode is brought to you in part by Cometeer. Cometeer is the first coffee you melt to make. What is it? It's delicious quality coffee that's ready in seconds. Cometeer's freshly brewed coffee arrives flash frozen inside the world's first 100% curbside recyclable capsule. It's super simple to melt your way to hot or iced coffees, lattes, and so much more. You don't need a machine or expensive equipment. It's just incredible, fuss-free, mess-free coffee. All right, Cometeer's brewing process, they're capturing over 2,000 flavor compounds that exist in a single coffee bean. Cometeer offers a wide variety of different types of stuff, light, medium, dark, single origin, and blended coffee roasts from the best specialty roasters. And you get to choose which ones you're looking for as part of your pack. How do they freeze it? Well, I'm glad you asked. The brewed coffee is immediately flash frozen at minus 321 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold. I mean, like, it was like, 38 degrees the other day. And I was like, yikes. That's a lot colder than this. If you look at a thing and it says it's minus 325 degrees outside, don't go outside. That's my advice. Leave a faucet running or something. Cometeer has discovered the best way to brew, preserve, and deliver delicious coffee to your home. And all you do is add water to enjoy it, hot or cold. With Cometeer, you can have a high-quality, balanced cup of coffee in the time it takes to boil water or fill a glass with ice, all for a fraction of the price of cafe coffee. And what's up with it? It's delicious black, or however you enjoy your coffee. Do stuff to it. Doctor it up. What are you doing? You putting like 9,000 sweetened lows in it? You putting oat milk in there? What are you doing? You can handle it. It's coffee. It's coffee. It's not fake coffee. It's real coffee. And you just melt it. The capsules are frozen. You heat up the water. You put it in there. Boom. Bing, bang, boom. Coffee. And you're like, whoa. How did this coffee get here? You made it happen. And unlike other pods, these Cometeer capsules are 100% curbside recyclable. No mess, no landfill full of tiny cups that once had tiny coffee pucks in them. No, you are recycling these things. That's awesome. Cometeer brings you the best coffee on the planet. It's incredible. And you can experience it for yourself to try the coffee you melt to make, brewed exclusively in partnership with award-winning roasters. And there's a special deal available right now. You can save $20 off your first order when you go and sign up at cometeer.com/bomb. That's COMETEER.com/bomb. And we thank Cometeer for sponsoring the podcast. All right, we're back. And now it's time for some emails. How about it? Bombcast at giantbomb.com is the email address. You can send your emails in, and some of them will be chosen to be read by me. And if you're lucky, and your question is not terrible, or is at least okay, if it is at least middling, then it has a shot of making it onto the program. Like this one from Matt from Battle Creek, Michigan, says, you guys talked a lot about motion smoothing with movie content, but I thought this was a video game site. What about motion smoothing with games? I am playing Animal Crossing on my LG OLED with motion smoothing turned all the way up, and it looks so much better.
I need to see this now.
We need to start screening these for, fucking absolutely batshit.
These are the fans of the site. This is the audience. I can't control who comes to see this content, or if they're all monsters.
But
you have a platform.
You have control over
And
what
we have
gets
a
on the air.
responsibility, right? Yes, exactly right, Jason. We have a responsibility with this platform, as every podcast does. So,
Go ahead.
Can't be spreading this kind of information. Misinformation.
All right.
Right. Thank
We're
you.
going to take down all the episodes talking about motion smoothing. I've got a lengthy apology. The Rock is furious.
But to be serious for a second, it's different with games.
Yeah.
It's
My
different with
TV
games.
won't even let me do it. Like, as soon as I switch to a game, it says game mode is launched.
Oh,
Like,
maybe
it
it's
knows.
So
Yeah, you
game
can turn
mode
it
doesn't
off,
have
though.
smoothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're enabling game mode, generally
Exactly.
it turns all that stuff off.
don't want the smoothing. It won't
Yeah.
let me do that because it knows better.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not aware. It's just it can
it's
detect
aware.
what a video game input is, and then it switches that mode. You could also turn that off. Like you could say, like, "Hey, stop reading my
This is
shit."
a movie.
Yeah.
Fuck what you heard. This is a movie.
So you can force it to do it. I agree though. I would like to see it, and then now I might actually go do it. But
because if you think about it, Switch games usually don't run at an amazing frame rate.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I'm gonna use
but
this
we're
on
talking about different
Pokemon.
things.
yeah,
What was this emailer's name? Because
Matt
now
from Battle Creek.
Okay, what you're doing though is you're sort of like backing your way into this conversation from a different angle, and it doesn't apply to the core, to the crux of the argument of the debate when we were first starting off here. When you have source material that is like undefined, like a video game, frame rate wise, it's a different story to tell.
Something that is fun to do once.
Is this the Jeopardy category? What
Yes.
Who is the
I have
Gemini man of video games?
What is running Super Mario Brothers 1 with motion smoothing turned on? This happened to me by mistake a couple of times as I was setting up new TVs and moving around to different inputs and stuff and having the Mister hooked up. It was hooked up to an input that kept re-enabling motion smoothing for some weird reason. And I had the NES core booting to Super Mario 1 automatically. And if you want to feel like your brain is broken, turn over and look at a game that you've seen off and on for the last 30-ish years or whatever it's been, with motion smoothing turned on a 2D pixel art, like pixel graphics game. It looks so fucked up and broken that you're just like, like you see just a weird blur as it tries to interpolate pixels, and it just looks completely fucked in a way that you should see once and then turn it off. Like, don't. But just if you want to see what that AI, what that magic is doing to your image, you can see it there.
What does
And
it
it's
feel
fun
to
experiment,
play
though.
that? Like,
Bad.
does
It feels
does it,
off
like,
in a way that you're like,
does the physics feel different?
Something. It's just the movement feels bad and weird. But I wonder if that's because it's something that you just, like that game is I'm innately used to how that game feels and plays and all that other stuff. And I wonder if it was something that you hadn't played before, would you notice?
But
that specifically.
I like those anachronistic mashups, right? Like I like when you try and force something from the past to play with something from the future, and like I think that stuff just for the sake of art, like see it, live it, breathe it in, but maybe don't enjoy it.
Did you see the there's that hologram panel that they're selling for like, I don't know, it's like $400 or something like that. It's a little screen that you can project holographic images to.
Okay, I don't think I've seen it.
Okay, well, they're selling a couple of them. One's really big and super expensive, and one is smaller and only sort of expensive. Someone has ported an NES emulator to that and added depth information. So people have tried to add depth information to NES games before to try to bring parallax scrolling to games that didn't have it, or like just, hey, we're going to render this polygonally, and then you can look at it at a weird angle and see that Simon Belmont has all this weird depth. So someone ported or ported an NES emulator to this holographic screen and added that depth information, and so you're playing Super Mario Brothers 1 on a fucking hologram, and that sounds like something I really want to try, but it only works with like 3 games because those games obviously didn't have depth information out of the gate.
I want to try that at like a museum or a convention.
Exactly.
Like I don't want to have it.
Yes,
I just
I would
wanna,
love to try that without having to pay for it. Definitely. But the video that the guy that did the work that he posted to Twitter looks fucking amazing. So this is like, I had a moment where I was like, "Ooh, I should buy that." Like, no, what? No, God, no. But it's very neat. Let's see here. Let's take just a couple more here. Burton from Colorado writes in. Says, hey, wild idea. If both Sony and Nintendo gave in and allowed Game Pass on their respective platforms for the foreseeable future, could there be a world where Microsoft didn't make a new Xbox? Netflix doesn't make their own TVs or streaming boxes. They just make themselves available on as many platforms as possible. If Game Pass was on all the video game platforms, could you see Microsoft going full service based and fully getting out of their own hardware?
I think they would still sell something, but it may not just be pushed as hard.
Yeah.
Like Roku still makes hardware. They make Roku sticks and set-top boxes. And and the like.
Yeah.
I
I could see it depending on, like, for me, that stuff lives and dies by how good the streaming stuff gets or how acceptable the audience is to the streaming stuff. Because if, you know, when Microsoft talks about its goal of just like, we want 1 billion players in this ecosystem, like they're not talking about Xbox owners. They're not even talking about Windows PC users.
Right.
You know, they're talking about people that are playing Xbox games on their phone and, you know, whatever else. So they don't care how they get there. If the math works out in a way that, like, monetarily they don't need to go and build their own native platform to do that stuff, then yeah, maybe they put out a streaming box and say like, people don't mind the streaming stuff because games have changed enough that, you know, no one makes fighting games anymore, I guess, and no one makes latency sensitive games anymore, so we can just stream everything. I don't know. That'd be a dark, terrible future.
I don't want to live in that world.
Unless the streaming tech got better.
Nope.
But I just don't see how you beat the speed of light on that stuff.
Right.
Yet.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's always, you know, yeah. Technology is weird. Maybe they find a way. And let's see. Let's take just 2 more here. Josh from Colorado says, I work for a food delivery app, but today I had a pickup from GameStop. I didn't know that was even possible on.
Oh.
Right.
Is
A
that
food
an
delivery.
option?
I don't know which app that would be. I have not seen that, but okay. The delivery was for a new copy of Necromunda Hired Gun. I don't know how much the person paid in
What?
total, but I got $11 for the delivery. My question, when does all this shit come crashing down again?
Okay, that is a loaded question. I mean, you could be addressing so many things. I'll tell you what. I don't think if he's talking about the food delivery, like Grubhub, DoorDash thing, like I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon.
God bless it.
I
hope
think
it doesn't.
I think everyone, not, you know, and it even more so because all these companies in the wake of the pandemic were like, yo, yeah, we got to start paying people a healthier wage because what we were getting away with was sort of insane, right? So
Yeah,
now it's survived that market adjustment, right? Like they're all still around and they all still seem to be thriving. It's more expensive, but like your money is going to the people who should be getting it. So I don't know.
I bet that the pay for that stuff is still probably not what it should be.
But
These
I mean,
couriers need a
like,
king's wage.
They've made it easier to tip.
Yeah.
And so you can tip those people directly.
Yeah, I mean,
but
maybe I'm
I
just
wonder.
speaking from like
There's
how
an
much
image going around about how I forget if it was Uber Eats or Grubhub or whatever, where the person tried to tip them like an extraordinary amount because it was snowing out.
Yeah.
And the app actually said no, wait, you can't tip more than 50% of your total bill, which is fucking bullshit. I should be able to tip.
Yeah, I don't understand.
much
Yeah,
as
you
I
should be able to
want.
tip as much.
I wonder if it's because most of the time when that happens, it's a mistake and they have to call customer service and go like, hey, wait a minute. And, you know, what's probably born out of that, I would guess, but
Maybe
that is shitty.
I feel like, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking from my point of view of like, I probably over tip if that's a possibility, just because it's like the value of not having to leave the house, I think is underappreciated. Right. So, you know, maybe that's kind of where I'm coming from. And, you know, it's safe to assume that not everyone does that, but
I do that.
It's definitely gotten more expensive. Like even if you are tipping like a piece of shit, it is still substantially more money than, you know, what it used to be. But
yeah, I feel like the markup on the food as well has gone up at a lot of locations as I watched that stuff, where it's like, this is
crazy.
Like, you would have to be insane to pay this amount of money to get fucking Chili's delivered to your house or some fucking horse shit. You know, it's like, bring over a Baja Fresh burrito. It's like, okay, that'll be $25 for a burrito. What?
Baja
You fucking, it's poor. Like, why is there? Do I get a fucking Bitcoin in there? What the fuck's going on? All right. Last email. I think I have the answer to this one. Eric in Washington D.C. I don't know for sure. We'd have to ask, but Eric in D.C. says, "Who wrote the GameSpot review for Castlevania 64?" The review on the website is listed as staff, but if you go to the Wayback Machine, it's listed as John Morris. John Morris was a character in Castlevania Bloodlines,
Right.
and there wasn't a John Morris on the staff page. Was he a freelancer and the name was a coincidence, or was this some kind of joke?
Pen name.
Well,
So that was not, yeah. So we used a lot of freelancers back then. So there would have been people who were not necessarily on the staff page. I remember that game being reviewed by John Riccardi of 8.4 now.
Yeah.
There was an era when we were all part of the same company, when EGM and GameSpot were part of Uncle Ziff's Playhouse, and there was a brief period of time where some of the EGM folks wrote some reviews for us. I've talked about it before, where many of them would not take the assignments because I was assigning them the things we couldn't get to, which means it was not the top tier biggest games, because I was reviewing those. Motherfucker. But John definitely did it. Like Craig Kuyava and John Riccardi, I remember doing a ton of awesome, very helpful work for us. I remember Castlevania 64 being a Riccardi review, but I don't know for sure. Maybe he would know. But there you have it, Eric. And then at some point, all those got changed to staff. A lot of reviews, unfortunately, got changed to staff.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, the reason I think in that case actually is super shitty. That when a bunch of those folks left to go start gamers.com,
Oh, fuck.
a lot of reviews that had their names on them got changed to staff.
That should be like illegal or something. You're like
Gross.
robbing someone of resume material.
We did not always make the best calls. We did not always push back to the extent that we
That's
maybe should have
unfortunate.
on some things, and and that shit went down. Those gamers.com people with their Thresh money sure did talk a big game. Anyway, yeah, no, but also as GameSpot has changed CMSs and technology and all this other stuff over the decades, it has gotten harder and harder and harder to just punch whatever name you want into those fields. So for people who were not current authors, in some cases, those would just get swept up in some tech change and just get fucked up and lost. And so I think a lot of that stuff happened as well. I know there was back then, I think that was a straight up deliberate act, if I remember
Right.
correctly.
What year around was this?
This would have
Almost
been
a
the late
sentence over.
90s, early 2000s, probably. I don't know.
That's exactly when I thought that happened. That seems
Yeah.
like a more. It seems like a practice that would have been more typical back then.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to figure out when did gamers.com come and go. But and maybe it would be, maybe that would help dial it in a little bit. But I know, yeah, there was a handful of the EGM editorial staff at the time left to go to Gamers when that was launching, when Thresh was launching gamers.com.
I don't know.
Quake
I feel
champion,
like
Ferrari owner, John Romero's Ferrari, Thresh. That Thresh.
I don't remember that.
Gamers.com, not a lot of people do.
What year? You say exactly what year exactly?
This probably would have had to have been, when did Castlevania 64 come out? Because it probably would have been sometime after that. Because I couldn't find a gamers.com. So that came out in 99. I'm going to say turn of the century, let's call it, somewhere around there. That thing probably happened. And I don't remember Bob Kaleko, who worked at GameSpot and then went on to do PR for Blizzard and much stuff. He was at Gamers for a while. I don't know. There was no one remembers all those sites. Remember Happy Puppy?
No.
Yes, I do.
Certainly
I frequented Happy Puppy.
That was
games.
a mid 90s, a 96. That was when GameSpot launched in 96. The Happy Puppy was a site at that point. I don't know. I don't think they made it much longer past 97 or so. Remember when IGN was owned by a company called Snowball?
I think this is
yeah.
before my time.
You couldn't talk about it without talking about, what Snowball meant in Kevin Smith parlance.
Oh
It's a very
no!
unfortunate name for them,
Oh no!
but a very fun burn for us.
Sure.
That's nice.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There was a billion different websites. Some of them are still, Blues News still around.
Is it?
Is it? I assume so.
I wrote for one up
Blues
once or
News?
twice.
Oh, this
Blues
is not
News
the dog.
still around. Blues News.
That's
Top
Blue's
story.
Clues.
Sifu released.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something really dumb. That I like the look of this website because this is what the internet used to look like.
Yep. Yeah, that's a useful web page. You go there, it's like here's the top thing. Here's what the fuck happened. It's a goddamn blog. For sure.
Is fark.com still around?
Probably.
Does it still look like how it looked in
Probably.
2000? Go into it.
Yes.
Oh, this
Yes
is
and
My
yes.
God.
Wow. There's
This
no
is
way this is
crazy
not just
looking.
completely automated, right? There's just no one.
Fark is like a dig. Fark is like a.
Yeah.
Remember dig?
Yep.
Yeah,
Does
Oh,
dig still
dig.
exist?
It
Dig
does.
does
yes, it
exist,
does.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's totally different now, but it definitely exists.
Yeah.
Remember,
Like.
Remember E-Bombs World?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just gonna play this game now.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do.
That's. I don't know. E-Bomb's World wasn't filthy enough for me.
No.
I needed style
the man
project.
now,
I
dog.
needed to go.
Oh
I
no.
needed to go all the way to the line
Oh
and then
no.
beyond it.
Oh, I know. Okay, now I know.
Chuck
who you
Yeager of
are.
staring at people pooping. That's what I was.
Okay.
If I didn't test the limits, who would? And then one day I gagged and I never looked at it again. That's gonna do it
Oh.
for the Bombcast.
Sheesh. Wow. Not an easy exit. Never
Thanks,
is.
everybody, for listening. We're gonna talk over that Nintendo thing tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific time. That's probably the next time you'll see us on the internet. And
I think after that, we are going to run for the hills
Nice.
at a weird time. It
Nice.
was going to be at the time the Nintendo thing started, but then Nintendo had to
Gonna do it.
They were scared.
schedule our whole day.
Yeah.
They were scared.
that's right.
Counter programming.
They're gonna finish Silent Hill. We've got to stop them. We've got to stop them.
Let's stop them.
Yeah. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Giant Bombcast. Thanks for listening. See ya. Bye.
Bye.